real-time data. Drop that spin, we'll fact-check it later. Facts still matter, yeah, we're keeping receipts. Headlines fine, but we read past the tweets. If it's news, if it's nasty, breaks it down. Cause the truth hits different when the facts come out. Scrolling through the chaos, everybody's got a take. But Steve's in the live with the sources on display. No rumors, no drama, no somebody said. Just what's proven, what's solid, what's actually been read. He's calling out the claims, separating real from fake. Cutting through confusion like a clean earthquake. Current events, yeah, he's got that mapped. If it's not verified, it's getting unwrapped. So drop your questions, drop your doubts. Steve's here sorting all the truth from the cloud. No panic, no spin, no agenda to flatter. Just one simple rule, facts still matter. Facts still matter, say it louder, say it louder. Truth cuts through all the noise, that's power. Steve's in the chat with the real-time data. Drop that spin, we'll fact check it later. Facts still matter, yeah, we're keeping receipts. Headlines fine, but we read past the tweets. If it's news, if it's now, Steve breaks it down. Cause the truth hits different when the facts come out.
Good morning. Happy hump day. How are you? Good to see you. We know you got many choices to make every single day. And we're always grateful that you choose to spend some time with us. You know the drill. Join our team. Please do that. Please do that every day. I bet if it's Please do that. Please do that every day. I bet if it's algorithm. Appreciated. Don't forget to head on over to the link tree that's in my bio. You can find a link to our Discord there. Please consider joining. That's kind of the hub of all of our information. There's a vibrant chat. There is all kinds of resources available, information about our Do Something tour. We'll talk about that a little bit this morning. Also, there's an Are You OK section, a check-in opportunity for people who are just struggling, just need a friend to talk to. It's closely monitored. We've got pet resources. We've got all kinds of stuff. So please consider joining. Also, head on over to the to the merch store, which is at Facts HQ. You can also find that link in the link tree. Or just go to factsstillmatter.site, and there's a whole campaign that we are using to try to raise some money for what's an organization called mn.org. It's the Minneapolis Community Action Network. Yesterday, through your kindness and generosity, I think we've generated $88 in proceeds that we'll donate to that. So any item from that Minnesota Strong series, you'll see them front page. Any item sold from that for indefinitely, all the proceeds from those sales of those items will go to support that organization. So that's an example of doing something. Put your money where your mouth is, so to speak. So check it out. All kinds of resources. Like I said, don't forget about joining our team. Don't forget about checking in on YouTube. Hello. Thank you. If you're not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. We are streaming there. We're also streaming on Twitch. Thank you, advance. Please subscribe. Also, the little editorial that I wrote regarding peaceful protesting is now up in my Substack. You can find that also at Factsstillmatter. Thank you for being here. We got a lot to discuss. Again, happy Wednesday. Hopefully you're recovered from the storm. I know I saw some amazing imagery from places that just don't get a lot of snow, to be honest. It hasn't really stopped snowing. We're almost at, I'd say, close to 3 feet. And I've shoveled like 6 times and I'm kind of done. But anyway, I'm glad you're here. So I want to. It's interesting because there's some relatively breaking news regarding some messaging coming out of the White House, and I think this is really, really, really indicative of what the plan is here. As you recall, Greg Bovino was demoted. We'll call it a demotion. He was kicked out so he can go back to his job in California, where he was a nondescript 5'2" Nazi. But this will just be, the first step toward the first step stool. See what I did there? The first step stool towards his retirement eventually. Well, because of the rhetoric and the just the obviously horrible situations in my volume is low. Sorry, should be better. Everything looks good on my end. Sorry about that. Should be good. The spin, with the situation with Renee Good, we obviously know that Jonathan Ross was a murderer and will be charged with homicide at some point. At least the right, and I'm not saying that this is justified, but I'm just saying that this is where their angle was. That there's debate about her car. Okay, whatever. We've all seen the video a million times. This situation is just so blatantly obvious as to what happened. He was pinned down. We know the video. We don't need to rehash it. So there's only so much spin that they can try to spin out of this. Of course, now they're going after gun rights. So we're going to play some amazing sound that I found from years ago that the president was talking about. All these other claims he's made about challenging the NRA and all kinds of stuff, which is wild. So we'll talk about that in just a moment, because I think that is, of all things that we could find solidarity between the left and the right. Ironic that it's about gun rights, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. But now they are in full damage control. So there's reporting that came out yesterday that Stephen Miller was the one that was behind these misleading claims. That Kristi Noem and Greg Bovino, you did the side by side. I think we played the sound yesterday. Did the side by side of their press conferences, and they literally read from the same script. And the reporting is that Stephen Miller is the person who authored that script. Okay, so Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is under fire for issuing misleading and incendiary information that claimed immigration agents unalived an armed Minnesota protesters Saturday because he wanted to, quote, massacre them. But that language was dictated to Noem and her department by the man most responsible for the controversial operation. That would be Stephen Miller, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff and top Trump advisor, four sources have told Axios. The episode illustrates the sheer power of Miller, Trump's close and longest-serving political advisor, whose dominion, good use of words, in the White House far exceeds his title. His influence extends to de facto oversight of Noem, though she's a cabinet secretary who technically outranks him. Everything I've done at the direction of the president and Stephen, Noem told a person who relayed her remarks to Axios. Okay. Immediately after the shooting of Alex Preddy in Minneapolis about 10:05 a.m. on Saturday, administration officials in Washington knew they had a potential disaster on their hands but had little information. The officers directly involved in the shooting, quote, all shut up and got lawyers real quick, so there wasn't a lot of information, one of the sources briefed in the statement said. Under Miller's direction, DHS officials began assembling a statement based on information from other officers on scene who noted that Preddy had a firearm. Quote, Stephen heard gun and knew what the narrative would be. Preddy came to, quote, massacre cops, a source briefed on the process of assembling the press statement had said. DHS posted the statement at 12:31 p.m. on X. Some White House officials had signed off on the statement, but others had not, leaving them frustrated. Quote, others within the White House attempted to clean up the DHS statement prior to it being sent out, but had already been disseminated. Again, Stephen Miller is the one who authored it and ended up in the hands of Kristi Noem, that infamous press conference about all these claims that she made, and then Greg Bovino did the exact same thing. I'm gonna show you what spin and defense of the president looks like in just a moment. This is crazy. You guys are the smartest chat on TikTok. You will see exactly what I'm talking about. The president was kept apprised of the statement by Miller and Noem's top advisor, Corey Lewandowski, one of Trump's former campaign managers in 2016, according to the two sources. Miller then posted on X that Preddy was, quote, an assassin, which a source said was based on a preliminary report from Customs and Border Patrol. Vice President Vance then reposted it on his page. Noem subsequently used that language at a news conference, as did the Border Patrol commander then overseeing operations in the Twin Cities, Greg Bovino. Noem also inaccurately suggested that Preddy was, quote, brandishing his weapon when video showed he never reached for his weapon and had been disarmed before he was shot. As more video from bystanders and observers contradicted the official narrative over the weekend, Trump became agitated with what he saw on TV and social media and decided to make changes in the Minnesota operation. On Monday, he dispatched border czar Tom Homan, a critic of the heavy-handed law enforcement efforts pushed by Miller. Little infighting, apparently. Noem on Monday night had a 2-hour meeting in the White House with Trump to discuss the matter, the New York Times reported. She's a loyal person and she wanted her voice heard, one source said. She made sure to convey her loyalty. That tells you a lot. Miller wasn't in the meeting. Neither was Homan, with whom Noem has feuded. Homan was en route to Minnesota by then. Remember the statement from the president who came out yesterday on True Social. He said that Tom Homan is going to be on the ground in Minneapolis taking charge, and he's going to report directly to me, meaning to the president, thus kneecapping Kristi Noem, because Greg Bovino in the chain of command structure, the ICE commander at large, reported into DHS, into Kristi Noem. So interesting that there's this little squabble. Between the lines, Trump's move was a rare break from Miller, who remains one of the president's closest advisors. Stephen Miller is one of President Trump's most trusted and longest-serving aides. The president loves Stephen. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told Axios. Trump and Leavitt also repeatedly praised Noem. Despite rumors to the contrary, Noem's job is safe for now, White House officials say. She's doing the job the president wants her to do, one official said. There's no daylight here. Okay, that was yesterday, all right? So this is a statement that Caroline Miller was asked whether or not Stephen Miller was going to be asked to apologize, because he went on the record and said the same thing. Now we know that there's this reporting that he's the one that authored these statements, right? Everybody keep tapping, please. Appreciate you all. 800 people in here, 15,000 likes. Let's get tapping, friends. Appreciate you all very much. So this is Caroline Leavitt was asked this question.
On Stephen Miller's comments, will Stephen Miller be apologizing to the family of Alex Pretty for calling him, quotes, an assassin who tried to murder federal agents, despite the fact that, as you say, this is still under investigation?
Look, again, this incident remains under investigation, and nobody here at the White House, including the President of the United States, wants to see Americans hurt or killed and losing their lives in American streets. And we mourn for the parents. As a mother myself, of course, I cannot imagine the loss of life, especially losing one's child. And that same empathy from the president goes for the parents of angel families, parents of victims of illegal alien crime across our country as well. And that's exactly why the president continues to be wholeheartedly committed to deporting the worst of the worst criminals from our country.
Got it. Yeah, okay. So there's your bullshit. So again, just to kind of catch you up, right? Statement that Kristi Noem made and Greg Bovino made were identical. Massacre, assassin, brandishing weapons. You've heard it. Kristi Noem, or I should say Caroline Leavitt, asked if Stephen Miller is going to apologize for being sort of the author or the instigator of those statements. And she's like, didn't really answer the question. She deflected. Well, there's reporting this morning that Stephen Miller said, top White House aide Stephen Miller said Tuesday that officials were evaluating why the Customs and Border Protection team in Minneapolis, quote, may not have been following proper protocol. So this, my friends, is Stephen Miller throwing Kristi Noem, Greg Bovino, everybody involved under the fucking bus. Of course, there's no way that Stephen Miller is going to let this land on the president or let this land on himself. Imagine Stephen Miller realized, well, they may not have been following protocol. Here's the reporting. He made this statement to CNN. So Magda, you can complain all you want, but he made this statement to CNN. And we're going to get into this whole news, education, the truth. We're going to get into that in just a minute. But here you go. Here's the sound.
Top aides on immigration, Stephen Miller, is admitting tonight a possible breach of protocol by the officer who shot Alex Pretty, which is a pretty stunning thing to come out of this administration, especially given what they said initially. It comes as Republican Senator Tom Tillis, whom you just heard slamming Kristi Noem, has taken on Stephen Miller.
Stephen Miller is in the same boat. This guy, after doing the stupid comment.
This is Tom Tillis. We're going to play a little bit more sound from Tom Tillis too, because Tom Tillis and Lisa Murkowski, both Republicans, both leaving the Senate, so they don't really have. I mean, their spine is like a straw. Speaking of straws, I've got some interesting sound for you as well this morning. But they're both leaving the Senate, so it's not like they're standing up to anything. They're both leaving, but at least they come out against it. So Tom Tillis from North Carolina, Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, right? Now they're both criticizing Kristi Noem, but that's fine. At least they are. But here's his statements.
In the same boat. This guy, after doing the stupid comments he made about Greenland getting the president in a difficult circumstance, is one of the people that came out publicly and said that this guy was a terrorist before he had even talked with anybody on the ground. And that's clearly not the case now. So, I mean, it's just, I mean, Stephen Miller never fails to live up to my expectations of incompetence.
I mean, that's
just pause right there. Yeah, Lisa Murkowski is not resigning. There's talk of her resigning, but she's not. Joni Ernst is certainly resigning. She's from I get my Christian nationalists confused, but anyway.
Pretty stunning thing to hear a Republican say, right? Stephen Miller never fails to live up to my expectations for incompetence. Kristen Holmes broke this news about Miller. She joins us now from the White House. So, Kristen, what are you learning right now?
Yeah, Aaron, this is quite stunning coming from Stephen Miller, who, of course, has been one of the most hard-line immigration enforcers when it comes to President Trump's administration. He is essentially conceding or acknowledging that there might have been a breach of protocol when it comes to the shooting of Alex Preddy. And just a reminder, this is the same person who said that Preddy in the aftermath was a would-be assassin. This is what the statement says, and he lays this out very clearly. It says that the White House provided clear guidance to DHS that the extra personnel...
That the White House provided clear direction to DHS. So if things end up really, really bad, it's not us. We didn't do it. DHS basically operated autonomously.
And he lays this out very clearly. It says that the White House provided clear guidance to DHS that the extra personnel that had been sent to Minnesota to force protection should be used for conducting fugitive operations to create a physical barrier between the arrest teams and the disruptor teams.
Oh, man.
Goes on to say, we are evaluating why the CBP team may not have been following that protocol.
Imagine that. Not taking any responsibility. Stephen Miller is going to make sure that this does not land on the president, that it's not going to land on him. We are going to blame CBP, even though we know full well that Stephen Miller is behind fucking all of this. And guess who's going to take the fall? Greg Bovino is the first one out. And I'm going to make a prediction. I think it's within a matter of weeks, if not days, that Kristi Noem is out. I think it's one of three things. She either resigns, she either gets fired and or reassigned, or she gets impeached. I think there's enough Republicans in the Senate that are just disgusted by this bullshit. Like disgusted by it. And by the way, yes, Lisa Murkowski, I believe, was the deciding vote to put her in this position. So we'll see. We'll see. Nobody cares what I think. That's cool. Why don't you talk to the 1,200 people that are in here, Francis? Not good Francis. The other Francis. Okay, cool.
So that's the first piece of news that we're learning here from Miller. The White House is looking into this and that they're acknowledging there might have been a breach of protocol. But there's more here. We had learned that Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem had been in constant touch with the White House leading up to her press conference, leading up to the first tweet that DHS put out about the shooting of Alex Preddy. She had been talking to Miller. She had been talking to a number of various officials. She had briefed them on how she was going to comport herself when she got up there. Here's what Miller said about that. Said, the initial statement from DHS was based on reports from CBP on the ground. The reason why that is notable is that he is not disputing that he gave talking points to Noem, that the White House was behind that, but instead they are saying that they got that information, that he got his information from reports on the ground from CBP officials, now saying they're evaluating if there was wrongdoing by those agents.
Even though we know that that's not true. I read to you the timeline. Within 30 minutes, they went out with a statement. They had no information. They had no information at all. So this is the spin. So what are the betting odds? By the way, before I forget, new feature on our live backgrounds every single day. This is the days past due of the Epstein Files release counter. We are at day 40. The party of law and order literally violating federal laws every single day by not releasing the files. We've got some more reporting on that we'll talk about, but this is the counter. It will be updated every day. 40 days past due on the release of the Epstein Files. Anyway, so that's an example of deflection and spin, right? You want to talk about spin? We talk about spin in politics and how you spin stories. Here is a perfect example. You are seeing it in real time, right? Stephen Miller is not going to take the fall. Well, he would never take the fall anyway, because the president would just protect him no matter what, because he's, in my opinion, running the government, he and Russ Vought. But that's a different conversation. We're just going to blame CBP. We're going to blame DHS. We're going to blame Kristi Noem, and we're going to blame Greg Bovino. Thank you. That's cool. I love those. That's the reality. And I thought that was just a fascinating exercise, right? That here we sit now, 48 hours, 72 hours, I'm sorry, longer than that, like 4 days since the incident. And they're already scapegoating. It's Kristi Noem, it's Greg Bovino, Pam Bondi's next. Blame the women. That's easy, right? Greg Bovino does not fit the mold of the masculine alphas that Donald Trump likes to surround himself with, because he's far from that. Or at least he thinks he surrounds himself with alphas like Pete Hegseth, JD Vance. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. And Greg Bovino certainly does not fit that mold. So here it is, right? So here's the spin. Here is the blame game, and they are going to dish it out heavily. We'll continue to watch that story because there's more to talk about there. But let's just I want to, before we move on to the statements he made in Iowa last night, I want to, what fascinates me with this particular example, and I think I said this yesterday, who would have ever thought that we would have found common ground on gun rights? You know, the NRA has been very, very angry with the president. It's come out, just vociferously saying, you're wrong. We have the right to carry. Now, you may not want to do it. That's your choice, but it doesn't deny the fact that you have a right. And even some of the most hardcore Trumpers that I've seen in this space are like, what the fuck? You got every right to take it. Some are just so delusional. Some are just stuck in the sauce so deep that they'll never acknowledge that this contradicts everything that they've been told to believe. So here they are. So let's listen to some of the sound that the president has stated in the past compared to recent statements. So this was a rally back in. This is during his first term. He's speaking in front of the NRA. I want you to hear this sound, because this goes back to the whole defund the police argument, and we'll break that down in a minute for you guys as well this morning. So here you go.
In Congress want to take away your voice, your jobs, your rights, and they especially want to take away your guns.
Oh, so what was that again? Let me just make sure I heard that correctly. I just want to make sure I heard that correctly.
Congress want to take away your voice, your jobs, your rights, and they especially want to take away your guns.
Okay, that's interesting that you said that, sir, because just yesterday you were asked about Second Amendment rights for every citizen of America that you claim to have fought so hard for. Here you go.
You can't walk in with guns. You can't walk in with guns. You can't do that. It's a very unfortunate thing.
One more time.
You can't have guns. You can't walk in with guns. You can't walk in with guns. You can't do that. It's a very unfortunate thing.
And somebody just said this, Peeps, you're right. And the claim has always been that Donald Trump is defending your 2A rights. He's never been a 2A guy. He's really never been a 2A guy. So this is a story that I found. This goes back to 2018. There's this infamous clip, you'll hear a portion of it, where he was basically telling Mike Pence that we should take the guns first and then go to court. So I'm playing this now because I know there's some of my MAGA fans in here who want to see in the thruple. Sorry, you're all not smart enough, but kiss, kiss, love you. So I just want you to listen to this, because this is your guy. This is the guy that you claim is defending your 2A rights. This is the guy that you claim is defending you from liberals wanting to take your guns. So So this is the story from a few years ago.
Trump is now publicly demanding stricter gun control in a break with.
This is again from March of 2018 during his first administration, because history matters, doesn't it?
The NRA and fellow Republicans. The president met with lawmakers at the White House yesterday and told them he'd even support bypassing due process to take guns from the mentally ill.
Oh, no.
Paula Reed is at the White House with the surprising remarks from the president. Paula, good morning.
Well.
Good morning. The central theme of the president's agenda was strengthening background checks for folks trying to purchase weapons. He brought that up about a dozen times in that meeting with lawmakers, but he said,
wait, what is it? Shall not what? What was that again? Shall not be infringed. Got it.
No matter what action is actually taken, he just wants to quickly end the nonsense of mass shootings.
We have to act. We can't wait and play games and nothing gets done.
President Trump stunned lawmakers on both sides of the aisle Wednesday with his overarching demands for gun control.
I'd take the firearms first and then go to court.
Oh, what was that, Mr. President? One more time.
The firearms first and then go to court.
I'm sorry, I forgot. I didn't understand that.
The firearms first and then go to court.
Got it.
After Vice President Mike Pence suggested court procedures for removing guns from dangerous people, Trump caught him and many in the room off guard by seeming to dismiss due process.
I like taking the guns early, so you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process.
Well,
President Trump also reiterated his support for raising the age limit to purchase some weapons.
oh my goodness, would that not be a restriction? Would that not be infringing on your rights? Well, my gosh.
It doesn't make sense that I have to wait till I'm 21 to get a handgun, but I can get this weapon at 18. I don't know. So I was just curious as to what you did in your bill. You don't address
we didn't address it, Mr. President. Look, I think
You know why? Because you're afraid of the NRA.
my reservation about it, frankly, is that the vast majority of 18, 19, and 20-year-olds in Pennsylvania who have a rifle or a shotgun, they're not a threat to anyone.
Typically an ally of the NRA, Mr. Trump said he's willing to act without the group's support.
Well.
I think you underestimate the power of the gun lobby.
They have great power over you people.
He's talking to Congress.
They have less power over me.
The president did stop short of supporting a ban on assault weapons, but some are skeptical that he will follow through on his demand for action.
I think it's just as likely that the White House personnel will be up here in the next few days doing the NRA's bidding. But the president certainly committed himself to things that, if he puts his full weight behind it, can get done.
The NRA is calling the president's proposal bad policy, but the president says if a
I'm sorry. So the NRA. Now, what does the NRA stand for again? The National Realtors Association, the National Raisin Association, the National Righteousness, the National Rifle Association. That's right. I forgot about that.
bill reaches his desk, he will sign it. Although some critics note he was equally bullish on DACA and nothing was ever passed. Alex?
Paula, the president tweeted again yesterday about his attorney general calling Jeff Sessions disgraceful for asking the inspector general to look into the FISA process. What has been the reaction to that latest salvo over at the Justice Department?
Well, since the attorney...
You get the point. So how funny, ironic, that we have been telling you for decades that the two stalwarts, that's a big word, iconic figures within Republican politics over the last 50 years, Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump, are the only two presidents that have ever really discussed taking away your firearms. How funny. And here we are, 10 toes down, Trump supporters, in defense of their rights to have a firearm. And all of a sudden, what happens? The president comes out and says, you can't have it. You can't have it. Kristi Noem says, you can't have it. Kash Patel says, you can't have it. How do you want to play this, MAGA? What's the game you'd like to play now? Because the news, right, that the left wants to take away your firearms. You don't have education, so everything gets through to you. We hear this, we're like, wait a second, we're educated people. I've not heard that at all. I've not heard anybody say anything like that at all. All I've heard is Donald Trump saying, fuck due process, take the guns first, similar to Ronald Reagan. And so how do you want to play this? Because I'm really curious. I am really, really, really curious about this. Again, I think it's absolutely fascinating. Fascinating that the Second Amendment may be the galvanizing cause. The assault weapons ban was signed during the Clinton administration, okay? Congressionally supported assault weapons ban. But here we are in a time when we've got all this contention over whether or not an armed citizen legally carrying their firearm. And there's all kinds of reporting now about an image. I can't confirm this, and I know that there's been a lot of talk about the image that they showed, that it was this Sig Sauer. I'm not yet ready to make a definitive as to whether or not that is this actual firearm. And folks, I'm not going to let people bring that up today. We've not corroborated our team, so I would ask you just to respect that. We're kind of there's a lot of debate. Anyway, I find it the epitome of hypocrisy that the president would now come out talking directly to his base when he's got a history of already saying, take the firearms first, due process ever. Imagine if Joe Biden on the campaign trail had said something like that, or Barack Obama or somebody. I would have been like, okay, you got a domestic violence threat? Yeah, take their firearms first and take them to court. I support that message. I absolutely, Mr. President, I agree with you. I agree with you. Somebody who's a threat, especially domestic violence, whatever that might be, absolutely. Absolutely. But that's not a right-wing talking point now, is it? Certainly isn't. We're going to get into that because that's connected to what I want to cover today, which is the fairness doctrine and the rise of right-wing media, because it is my belief, and I've talked to you guys about this many, many times, it is my belief that is a major contributing factor to where we are now, the rise of right-wing media. And there's some confusion about the fairness doctrine and what it covered and what it didn't and what it was intended to do. But we'll talk about that. We can bring back the fairness doctrine, but it's not going to help with Fox because the fairness doctrine does not regulate cable, which is the big issue, we'll talk about that. I want to get ahead of myself. But I've got a few more things that I want to play for you this morning. This is Megyn Kelly, okay? And this creator, Jose Can You See By, I follow him around. I like his content. And she made a statement about Alex Preddy. And then of course, there's receipts. So this is what she had to say initially about Alex Preddy, and then there's some sound from a few years prior, and you'll recognize the context.
We spoke about Alex Preddy. First, I'm going to show you this clip, and then I'm going to show you another clip where she talks about Ashley Babbitt, and I want you to see the difference between the two. Watch.
I know I'm supposed to feel sorry for Alex Preddy, but I don't.
Wow.
I don't.
Okay.
Do you know why I wasn't shot by Border Patrol this weekend? Because I kept my ass inside and out of their operations. It was very simple. If I felt strongly enough about something the government was doing that I would go out and protest, I would do it peacefully.
Okay, so
if I felt strongly about something about going out against the government that I disagree with, I would do it peacefully. Okay.
Alex Preddy was shot and killed by federal agents. Video and eyewitness accounts show him filming agents trying to protect someone from being pushed. He wasn't assaulting them. He wasn't blocking a legal proceeding.
Correct.
But let's see if Megyn Kelly keeps that same energy for Ashley Babbitt. Watch.
Instead of asking serious questions about whether she was doing something that deserved her being shot on Capitol Hill. Did they see a weapon? Was there something? Granted, she was trying to break through a door. I get it. So were a lot of other people. What was she doing that suggested she was an imminent threat, that she was out to do harm?
You guys noticed the difference, right? Because on one hand, you have a
I mean, come on, Megyn. Come on. And I've tried to use the J6 argument. I've used the same. I used it with Renee Good. I've used the Ashley Babbitt example. And now what you're seeing, because people on the right are not the best. I wouldn't say they're the most the best thinkers in the world, so to speak. They're caught. Because if they were to say that Ashley Babbitt deserved it, because that's the language that they used when it came to Renee Good, and many are saying the same thing when it comes to Alex Preddy, then their entire narrative is gone. So instead, what they're saying now, when it comes to Ashley Babbitt, is, well, yeah, she should have complied. What? What are you talking about? For years, all you said is that she didn't deserve it, and the Officer Byrd, should have been thrown in jail, and that he should be arrested or hung or worse. I mean, let's be real. But Megyn, that's fine. I just want to hear her hypocrisy again because it's just delicious.
This clip, and then I'm going to show you another clip where she talks about Ashley Babbitt, and I want you to see the difference between the two. Watch.
I know I'm supposed to feel sorry for Alex Preddy, but I don't.
No, of course you don't.
I don't.
Of course.
Do you know why I wasn't shot by Border Patrol this weekend?
Why?
Because I kept my ass inside and out of their operations.
Good for you.
It was very simple.
Got it.
If I felt strongly enough about something the government was doing that I would go out and protest, I would do it peacefully.
Okay, so Alex Preddy was shot and killed by federal agents. Video and eyewitness accounts show him filming agents trying to protect someone from being pushed.
Yep.
He wasn't assaulting them. He wasn't blocking a legal proceeding. But let's see if Megyn Kelly keeps that same energy for Ashley Babbitt. Watch.
Instead of asking serious questions about whether she was doing something that deserved her being shot on Capitol Hill.
Wow.
Did they see a weapon? Was there something? Granted, she was trying to break through a door. I get it. So were a lot of other people.
Oh.
What was she doing that suggested she was an imminent threat, that she was out to do harm?
You guys notice the difference, right? Because on one hand, you have a lawful American citizen who is peacefully protesting federal enforcement, trying to help others, but suddenly his life doesn't matter. And on the other hand, you have someone who actively is participating in a violent attack on a constitutional process, entering a restricted area inside the Capitol, but that lethal event is treated as something that deserves more scrutiny to determine if it could have been avoided. And of course, the common thread in all of this is ignored, because in both instances, you can bet that if Donald Trump had not been president, both of them would almost certainly still be alive today.
That part. So true. And then that brings us to Kyle Rittenhouse. And I didn't even really want to talk about him today, but it's impossible not to. He was anointed a fucking hero within the MAGA circles. Now, the argument that they're trying to make now, because, well, again, Stephen Miller has fact-checked himself. We should not have gone out with statements like brandishing a weapon, because there's no evidence of that. When Kyle Rittenhouse literally was brandishing a weapon going to a protest. The right does not want to talk about that at all. His name is Jose Can You See By. One word, Jose Can You See By. You can find him on various socials. But again, Kyle Rittenhouse goes brandishing a weapon. And he was what? I think he was 17, right? He was 17. Where is the disdain for Kyle Rittenhouse? Charlie Kirk was speaking at a Turning Point event. I think I've got the sound for that, actually. And you can listen to his bullshit. Hold on a second. Yeah, right here. This is crazy. Again, don't want to give him any attention, but this is Kyle. Okay.
Prison without the possibility of parole.
And how old were you?
17.
Oh my God.
I was charged with originally 6 counts, but I was charged with 5 felony counts. One of the highest count being first-degree intentional homicide, attempted homicide, reckless endangerment. You add all the charges up, life in prison without parole plus 300 years.
Insane. And I feel like when it's such a public case like that, they want to make an example out of you.
Absolutely. And thank God there were people out there fighting for me in the public eye, such as Charlie Kirk. He was a big supporter and advocate.
Charlie Kirk, who said, to have your rights, sometimes there has to be a body count. Okay.
I feel like alternative media really helped.
Yep, alternative media such as your show, pushing other things for people to see, because nobody believes in the news anymore. I resorted
alternative media, friends. Alternative media.
To watching podcasts to get my information, because to be honest, that's where some of the most accurate information is, because you actually take the time to research the person you're talking to or about the issue you're talking about.
Yeah.
Unlike a lot of journalists that are reading off a teleprompter for what Mr. Soros is telling them to say.
Mr. Soros.
Right. Of course, like what Mr. Soros is telling them, right? And don't forget, there was a Turning Point event where Charlie Kirk was like, ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Rittenhouse, and the lights and the pyrotechnics, and everybody was cheering. Alex Preddy was an ICU nurse. Renee Good was a mom. And they were there expressing their constitutional rights. Renee Good didn't have a weapon. She didn't attempt it. She didn't try to run down an officer. Not even close. She was trying to flee because she was concerned because of ICE's history of detaining people against their constitutional rights. And in many cases, detaining women and raping them. And then Alex Preddy was there to try to help a woman who was just literally assaulted by an ICE officer. And he was not brandishing a weapon. You can see the video clearly. You can clearly see the video. He had his holstered off his back belt, removed by an officer. He was a helper, and he got unalived. And Kyle Rittenhouse, who literally brandished a weapon and went to a rally or went to a protest, isn't that the argument? You shouldn't be going to a protest with a gun? Isn't that what the president said? Yeah, here you go. This is the president just last night. Just want to make sure we don't forget the past here. Here you go.
Assessment from some of your own officials that Alex Preddy is a domestic terrorist or an assassin.
Well, I haven't heard that, but certainly he shouldn't have been carrying a gun. But hey, look, bottom line, everybody in this room, we view that as a very unfortunate incident. Okay, everyone, unless you're a stupid person, very, very unfortunate incident. I don't like that he had a gun. I don't like that he had 2 fully loaded magazines. That's a lot of bad stuff. And despite that, I say that's a very unfortunate.
Interesting. Wasn't Kyle Rittenhouse invited to the White House, or invited to speak at a Trump rally? Okay. Just want to make sure I got that straight, because I was a bit confused. Yeah, Taco Cat, we're not interested in talking to you because you support fascists and Nazis, so you can get the fuck out of here. SYBAU, which stands for shut your bitch ass up. So you get the fuck out. You're a waste of time. I'm not going to even bother platforming you. Anyway, how ironic, right? How ironic that we sit here, 2 weeks since the initial assassination in cold blood of Renee Good, and now we get Alex Preddy. Okay. I need your help, friends. Apparently our weak betas in the chat are reporting, which is great. So I need you guys to tap like crazy. I need you to gift like crazy. I need you to comment like crazy. Please help us out. If we do end up going down, we'll come back up on our backup, which is Factsstillmatter 2.0. I'll ask you to follow there, but right now I need your help. So whatever gifts you have so let's lean in on the grift, as they say. Lean in on the grift to push back against the BS. Thank you, friends. I appreciate you. So, how funny, or ironic, I guess it is. Now there's more reporting about some ICE practices, and I think the reason that we're going to keep these top of mind is just because of the receipts. So when members of this administration are prosecuted, when they're held accountable for their crimes, when they face justice, we'll have the receipts. Because don't forget, the claim has been made that they are not racially profiling people, right? Well, we know that's not the case. We know from their own interactions with people. So I'm going to play some sound for you now from a Somali American rideshare driver who was engaged by ICE while he's out working. And I want you to hear what he says. And I've got some more sound to play for you after that. Hang on one second.
I'm from this country.
I can hear you don't have the same accent as me. That's why I'm.
Oh, so you're going by accents now?
Wow.
We just heard that agent saying, I can hear you don't have the same accent as me. That's why I'm asking you, which I think is a pretty stunning thing to hear. I mean, then so you're talking to them. You talk about the woman first, then there's him. And then actually Greg Bovino, right? The top guy at the time on the ground of all of this shows up by your window. And you've shared some more of that exchange. Let me play it.
The big boss over here. What's going on? They're just harassing people based on skin.
So this is Greg Bovino that he's now speaking to.
Are we in Germany?
No, come on.
What are you guys going to do today? You guys want to take me in or something?
Oh, that depends. Are you an illegal alien? Oh.
Illegal alien, man. Our planet, yes. I might be from another planet.
Oh, okay. Well, if that's the case, if you're from another planet, that counts too.
Well, if that counts, well, I'm an alien, guys. Let's do DNA tests and You got a lab? We can run some blood tests, see what the hell I have. You guys shooting at people, man. Somebody just got shot for what? Why did you guys shoot that lady? Answer me that. There's an officer today that shot a lady in the head, dude.
Really?
For what?
I don't know why they do the head, man.
You got all these stuff. You could have just got her, man. She's not going to, fly out of the country.
Like an alien.
Like an alien with a spaceship.
With a spaceship.
Yeah.
So obviously you sound confident there, Ahmed, but I can only imagine. Obviously this is hours after Renee is shot and killed. And you're sitting there feeling that guys already told you that because of your accent, you have to prove you're an American. Greg Bovino walks up. Yeah. Did you feel scared a bit that things could go wrong?
I mean, it was very obvious to me by the way Border Patrol was acting with me unprofessionally that they really didn't care about my identity. There's something else other than what was obvious that was going on. So when he said, you know what? I know you're not an American citizen, and I demand that you show me proof of that American citizenship verification, documents, whatever. I need that. What's making me ask you this stuff is you do not sound like me. You don't have the same, and then he pointed to his face, you don't have the same accent as me. So I was shocked. I was startled, and I said, we're using accents now to verify citizenship? Are we using? It was just absurd to hear that, for the first time in my life.
But not racist. No.
I'm like, accents? Wow, there's so many different accents in America, right? There's the Spanish accent, there's the Italian accent, there's the Boston accent, there's the Texas accent, there's the Arkansas accent, which I'm not a big fan of. But then again, this guy chose to say,
do respect Arkansas, but nobody's a fan of your accent.
You got to sound like me to be a U.S. citizen. So I was like, hey, I'm not going to partake in this nonsense. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the same energy he's using towards me on him.
Nothing to see here, though, right? It's totally fine. So when people on the left and the non-Nazi Republicans, when we call this stuff out to MAGA, we say they're using certain identifiable characteristics. And the response is, no, they're not. They're only going after the hardened criminals. So this man was profiled because of his accent. Okay. If that were an isolated incident, I would say that, okay, we'll just chalk it up for an isolated incident. But sadly, there's more.
Paperwork. Because of your accent. You have an accent too. Where were you born, sir? Where were you born at? Put your hands behind your back.
Ramon Monero was detained by U.S. Border Patrol agents outside his home in a Minneapolis suburb after an agent questioned whether he was a citizen because of his accent.
I'm from this country. You know what, sir? Now talking to you, hearing that you have an accent, I have reason to believe that you are not born of this country.
Doesn't that guy have an accent? Doesn't it sound like to you like the ICE agent also has an accent? Interesting.
So what country are you from?
According to Monero, agents took a photo of him and searched a system that indicated he's been a U.S. citizen since 2019. They also checked his U.S. passport.
Goodbye, my love. I'll see you later. Drive safe, okay? Be safe, be kind, be gentle. Have a good night at work. Bye. Sorry.
Passport card, which he keeps in his wallet before letting him go. Monero, who was born in Mexico and obtained a U.S. passport in 2021, was detained in front of his 5-year-old daughter.
Well, she was shaking when I got in the home, and she's like, "Are you okay? That we're gonna take you? I don't want to lose you." And I'm like, "You're not gonna lose me." Even though I'm a citizen, I'm still feel afraid because they don't care if you're a citizen or not. And especially because I know I have a really strong accent speaking English. I know I can be a target because that's who are they targeting just because our appearance and because of our accent.
What else is there to say? I mean, honestly, what else is there to say? And these are just ones that we have on camera. These are just ones that we've captured. Just listen to this again, because the argument that the ICE, the jackbooted thug, the masked bullshitted fucking coward, the micro-dicked jack-off, I could just go on all day with those. The argument he's using is that I heard your accent, therefore I have a right to question your citizenship. Listen closely to whether or not this particular ICE agent has an accent.
Why are you asking me for my paperwork? Because of your accent. You have an accent too. Where were you born, sir? Where were you born at? Put your hands behind your back.
Ramon Monero was detained by U.S. Border Patrol agents outside his home in a Minneapolis suburb after an agent questioned whether he was a citizen because of his accent.
I'm from this country. You know what, sir? Now talking to you, hearing that you have an accent, I have reason to believe that you are not born of this country. So you just...
I mean, do we know that the ICE agent is a citizen? I mean, we know their background is bullshit. Hang on one second. We have a lot of snow. I just want to make sure the daughter gets out of the driveway. Okay, hang on. She's good. Sorry. I mean, again, don't forget, the term that Tom Homan has thrown around would be identifiable characteristics. So, when a new administration is in charge, what's the list of identifiable characteristics that they can use to identify domestic terrorists? We can obviously include truck nuts. If you've got truck nuts, you are going to be profiled. If you have a MAGA flag, you are going to be profiled. If you have Make America Great Again, bumper stickers, swag, hats, you are going to be profiled. If you have your thin blue line flag, you are going to be profiled. If you have a Punisher tattoo that can be seen in public, you are going to be profiled. If you have 3 teeth, you are going to be profiled. If you're proud of your collection of white tank tops with barbecue stains on them, you are going to be profiled. 1776 tattoo, profiled. Hair plugs, profiled. If that's the game we're going to play, then let's play it. If that is the game that you want to play, then let's play it. Now, because someone has an accent, you understand that Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States, right, MAGA? You understand that. So if there's a Puerto Rican national in Miami and there's an ICE raid, by the way, Puerto Rican nationals are citizens of the United States. Should they then be profiled because of their accent? Yeah, another identifying characteristic, if you have on your social media posts, if you and your family are posing with your ARs in hand, you are going to be profiled. If you reek of Axe body spray, you are going to be profiled. Bad tipper, profiled. I am so fucking done with the gaslight coming from this administration that it's not racism. It's abso-fucking-lutely racism. You've got untrained thugs, Proud Boy, racist, bigots, sexually assaulting fucking vermin pieces of shit patrolling American streets, and if they overhear an accent, then they can question someone. Your papers, please. They're the ones asking the questions. Do you think I like making comparisons to 1930s Germany every fucking day? Do you think I enjoy that? I fucking hate it. It's the United States of America in 2026. Do you think I like using those references? Do you think I enjoy it? Do you think it's something that I get off on? I wish I didn't have to do it. I wish I didn't have to. I really wish I didn't have to. But you hear it. You see it every single fucking day. How can you say that ICE is not profiling people when you hear it for yourself? What's the quote? Hang on one second. I have this background. Thank you again, Gregory. Right here. The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. And we're going to get into it today. Okay? We're going to get into it. This one. How else do you explain it? How else can you possibly explain what they are doing? We know they have a quota. I think it's 3,000 a day. We know they are falling well below that, which is why they're ramping shit up. But we also know, and I think this is really, really important. I was talking to my son about it last night because he wants to go to Minneapolis. I'm like, okay, dude, good luck, be safe. We talked about this, and we spent a lot of time on Monday saying, don't take the bait, look for the helpers. And that inspired me to write what I wrote. Again, you'll find that on Substack. But it was effective because the overwhelming majority of the protests in Minneapolis and around the country overwhelmingly have been peaceful. And what did that peaceful protest do? It shone a bright light on the bullshit and about the citizens of Minneapolis pushing back. The citizens of Minnesota pushing back. Residents of LA and Chicago and Portland and wherever else pushing back. And what ended up happening? The administration backed down. They'll never admit that, but they backed down. They backed down. I really, really, again, will remind you, and there's some technical difficulties with the live. So what happens if you're a live creator? What TikTok does is they'll record your live, and then it's stored in your profile. Normally, what happens is you can pull clips from it, and it's easy to post. And then because we stream, hold on. Sorry. because we stream to YouTube, then the replays are always available on YouTube. Of course, one of the most important shows we've ever done, and then we had all kinds of technical glitches. We weren't able to transpose the live stream on the desktop version. It was a nightmare. Anyway, I am trying to post Monday's Live because we talked about the lessons that we need to learn from our Black brothers and sisters in marginalized communities throughout history who have always stood up, and they've done it peacefully. And I think this is an example of what happens when you do that. Now, they could have escalated. The citizens of Minneapolis could have escalated. They could have gone, they could have promoted more violence. More people could have brandished their firearms, expressed their constitutional rights to carry, right? But they didn't. They didn't. They chose they chose restraint. They chose discipline. They chose unity. They chose strength. And I think that is really indicative of the lesson that we need to learn. And that's what we spent a lot of time talking about. And again, I want to thank our amazing queens that were on the live with us that day, Fairy Dustin and Michelle and Cage, for their sound advice. Question is, are we going to take it? Right? I think we need to take it. Now, I know that there's people that are just angry and they're agitated and they're frustrated, and we all are. But we've got a clear choice to make right now, right? We've got a clear choice. We can look at history. I mean, think about the plight of the Black community in our country, right? I'm, of course, not going to speak for them, just as a person who studies history. They knew full well in the face, they knew what they were going to face. They knew they were going to be assaulted. They knew they were going to be imprisoned or worse. And they did it anyway. And then they did it again, and they did it again, and they did it again. And they still do it to this day. I love the term that all the queens used. They move differently. And that's what we need to do. And this is the first time that I can recall in American history that white people are now the target of the government. I'm not talking about like Kent State, and I'm not talking about these individual, ad hoc protests, but in general, this is the first time. And because white people have been coddled and babied, yes, exactly, one band, one sound. We're not used to it. And then the reaction is to cater to or to tap into the worst tendencies in all of us. And like I've said a million times, society tells men the only emotions that you can show outwardly are anger and lust. So what we're seeing is anger. And I'm hoping that cooler heads can prevail and we can show that there is a way forward through this. So I think it was beautiful to see, quite frankly. Let me just check something real quick. Anyway. Thanks for that, Bo. That's such a bright comment, Bo. Gosh, Bo, you're so intelligent. My gosh, I mean, where were you educated? Well, I mean, my goodness, for a thought like that, just for a thought like that, I mean, you must have spent hours thinking about that and thinking, boy, that's going to really trigger the host. Okay, Bo, appreciate you. Appreciate you so very much. Blurred, are you there? Blurred, hi. Hello? Blurred? Blurred Bird, are you there? I guess not. You can request again if you want to come back up. So anyway, I know how exactly, Chris. How can I go on after Bo's takedown? My gosh. Oh no. What am I to do? Alas. Okay, so we've got a few things that we need to continue to talk about on this story. I don't want to let it go because there's going to be an aftermath, and I again because our legacy media will be like chasing the next shiny object, and they are going to move on from topics. They're going to find something else to discuss. They're going to try to bury history. We're not. So I just want to remind folks again about some of the statements that have been made by members of the administration regarding their use of firearms. You're going to hear from Greg Bovino. You're going to hear from Kash Patel. You're going to hear from Todd Blanche and others, and then I'll summarize.
Where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement.
I did not say. That's the statement that Stephen Miller authored. the massacre. That's part of the statement that he, not only Greg Bovino and Kristi Noem shared, but Stephen Miller authored. And when I was discussing earlier, when he came out with his like retribution moment, like, shit, yeah, well, they fucked up. Not us. They fucked up.
He was violent.
This is Todd Blanche now. Hang on, let me start this from the beginning. Sorry.
Where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement.
I did not say he was violent. I said he was not protesting peacefully.
Wishing to inflict harm on
Todd Blanche, now Kristi Noem.
These officers coming brandishing like that.
Did at any point Mr. Preddy brandish a gun?
There's obviously an investigation that's ongoing.
You cannot bring a firearm
Kash Patel
loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple. You want to bring...
That was Kash Patel on Fox News. This is Kash Patel with Benny Johnson.
Your firearm under the law, you're allowed to bring it as long as you don't incite violence and or commit another crime in doing so. What we're asking people to do, what I'm asking people to do is on the ground in Minnesota is, why would you bring a firearm in a situation that is so volatile right now?
When you perpetuate violence against a government because of ideological reasons and for reasons...
First of all, Kristi, it's ideological, not ideological. That's not even a word. Ideological is not a word. Okay?
To resist and perpetuate violence, that is the definition of domestic terrorism. This individual who came with weapons and ammunition to stop a law enforcement operation of federal law enforcement officers committed an act of domestic terrorism.
I don't think anybody thinks...
This is Todd Blanche again on Fox News.
...that they were comparing what happened on Saturday to the legal definition of domestic terrorism.
See how they're spinning now? So Kristi Noem has gone on the record. Kash Patel has gone on the record. Greg Bovino has gone on the record saying that he's a domestic terrorist. And Todd Blanche is like, no.
Secretary Noem said Alex Preddy committed an act of domestic terrorism. Stephen Miller labeled Preddy a domestic terrorist. Does the president agree with them?
Look, as I've said, I have not heard the president characterize Mr. Preddy in that way.
There you go. There's the spin. So the two people left out on the island are Greg Bovino, who doesn't measure up in Trump's mind, and Kristi Noem, who is going to be the scapegoat. She will be the fall person in this. Again, the script that they read, the statements are identical. Kristi Noem's statement about massacre, assassin, domestic terrorist, brandishing a weapon, exact same words that Greg Bovino uttered and embarrassed the administration because they're like, fuck. That's not going to fly. Second Amendment, holy fuck. So, the reporting again from what was the story? Oh, I forget what he said. That they may have not followed protocol. They being CBP and ICE officers, they may not have followed protocol. And Todd Blanche, who's the deputy AG, trying to run coverage, saying, "Well, they don't meet the classic definition of domestic terrorism." Just listen to this again. This you'll hear it.
This looks like a situation.
Okay, this is Bovino.
Where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement.
Okay, this is Todd. Now, this is that. You've heard that statement. Now, this is Todd Blanche a day after trying to, I don't know, run cover, deflect?
Not say he was violent. I said he was not protesting peacefully.
Wishing to inflict
Kristi Noem now
harm on these officers coming brandishing like that.
Did at any point Mr. Preddy brandish a gun?
There's obviously an investigation that's ongoing.
You cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple. You want to bring your firearm under the law, you're allowed to bring it as long as you don't incite violence and or commit another crime in doing so. What we're asking people to do, what I'm asking people to do is on the ground in Minnesota is, why would you bring a firearm in a situation that is so volatile right now?
When you perpetuate violence against a government because of ideological reasons and for reasons to resist and perpetuate violence, that is the definition of domestic terrorism. This individual who came with weapons and ammunition to stop a law enforcement operation of federal law enforcement officers committed an act of domestic terrorism.
I don't think anybody thinks that they were comparing what happened on Saturday to the legal definition of domestic terrorism.
Secretary Noem said Alex Preddy committed an act of domestic terrorism. Stephen Miller labeled Preddy a domestic terrorist. Does the president agree with them?
Look, as I've said, I have not heard the president characterize Mr. Preddy in that way.
I mean, again, friends, like this is what spin looks like, right? So within the administration, they are like, okay, this is bad. We probably had a little bit of cover with the confusion about the tires and this and that and how we argue about Renee Good, blah, blah, blah. But this is just like fucking plain as day. So you got Todd Blanche saying, no, we wouldn't call it domestic terrorism. No, I didn't see any evidence of him brandishing a weapon. And even Kash Patel's like, yeah, you can have your firearm, but don't bring it to a protest. Well, my guy, it wasn't a protest. It wasn't a protest. He was permitted. He had his license to carry, right? It wasn't a protest. He was out protesting, but it wasn't a protest. And he was the one that was assaulted. And here's the fucking spin. It is staggering to listen to their hypocrisy. But again, the Second Amendment. Blurred, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Hey, I've just been seeing a few things about DHS's own policy being setting us up for violence, essentially. Like they telling us that it's illegal to film their agents and that agents can retaliate or we can be prosecuted for it. Just like I want to point out that DHS's own behavior and statements and policy is what's setting people up for violence. It's not because people are at protests. It's not, and I just saw I think in October, the Cato Institute wrote a long thing about this. So if anybody needs any ammunition on that front to say, don't blame these victims or don't blame the Democratic Party or the fact that people are protesting, look at their own policy and what they've said. And they've tried to say it's illegal to film and it's not. So they have set us up for confusion.
Of course. It is absolutely. I mean, it's a really good point. You are within your rights from anything you can see from public. As long as you are not on private property, you can film anything you can see from public. Anything you can see with your eyes from public, you can film. That's how it works.
Right, exactly. But anyway, that's I was going to go, but I was going to also think about making myself a T-shirt that says "lawful, peaceful observer" or something like that, so that if I were ever in that situation and I was filming, it would be harder to go after me in public in view of other people. But just a thought.
I love that idea.
Yeah,
I love that idea. Thank you so much for jumping in today. I appreciate you for being here. Thanks a lot.
You can kick me.
There, okay?
Yeah, you
All
too.
right, thanks.
Bye.
All right, bye. She's right, and actually, I found some sound because this is Greg. This is Greg Bovino. He is speaking to his armed thugs. And this is a very interesting to what Blurred was just talking about. And then you'll hear him being questioned in his deposition to address some of the crimes committed by his agents. And this discusses exactly what she was just talking about.
As many people that touch you as you want to. Those are the general orders all the way to the top. Everybody fucking gets it if they touch you. You hear what I'm saying? Yes, sir. Less legals. We're going to look at shipping tractor trailer loads of that shit in here. So you catch what it's all about us now, and then you got them.
Okay, so you heard it. If they touch you, if they're near you, if they touch you, you can assault them. Okay? Cool. So here's Greg Bovino answering questions. Now you've heard the context of that statement that he made to his officers, and now listen to him fucking squirm.
That appears to be me, and it appears to be what I said there on sometime. I don't know what the date of that was.
Do you recall saying those things?
I don't recall everything.
The instruction that you gave to your officers was that they had full reign to arrest anyone who so much as touched them. That, in essence, is what you said to the officers, right?
No.
No?
Should we interpret you as saying something different?
I don't know how you want to interpret me, but that's not what I said.
Okay, so that would be Minnesota's reacting as ICE agents left. So I'm sorry. How could you possibly say that that's not what you said? Because that's exactly what you said, Greg. That's why you're in trouble, right? So here it is again. You guys can determine what it is that he said. Okay, here you go.
Arrest as many people that touch you as you want to. Those are the general orders all the way to the top. Everybody fucking gets it if they touch you. You hear what I'm saying? Yes, sir. Less legals. We're going to look at shipping tractor trailer loads of that shit in here. So you catch what it's all about us now, and then you got them.
Okay.
That appears to be me, and it appears to be what I said there on.
So he's being shown that video in his deposition. He said, yeah, that appears to be me. That appears to be you? Dude, it is you. It doesn't appear to be you. It is you. It is you saying those things.
Sometime. I don't know what the date of that was.
Do you recall saying those things?
I don't recall everything.
The instruction that you gave to your officers was that they had full reign to arrest anyone who so much as touched them. That, in essence, is what you said to the officers, right?
No.
Should we interpret you as saying something different?
I don't know how you want to interpret me, but that's not what I said.
Okay. Good luck with that in court. No, they haven't left. They've not left entirely. There certainly had been a withdrawal of some of the amount of people they've had there. But my point with this whole thing is that when you go to court, Greg, when you go to court, you are going to be played video of you racially profiling people. You are going to be played video of you tossing, tear gas and pepper spray and whatever else, even after a judge told you not to do it. You're going to be played video when you were around that facility in Chicago when the Catholic priest got rubber bulleted. They're going to play that for you. They're going to play you giving instructions to your team that if you are so much as touched by someone, you can be arrested. They're going to play that for you. So when you face justice, you Nazi fuck, that's what's going to happen. And then what are you going to say in court? Oh, you know what? You won't testify, will you? You pathetic fucking coward. You won't testify. And by the way, there's now reporting of some social media watchdog groups within ICE that are monitoring people's social media content. Okay. Hey, ICE. Hey, Tom Homan, Christy Nome, for a short timer. I'll call you short timer. The president, JD Vance. I'm Steve. Facts still matter. I'm here live every Monday through Friday, 8 till noon Eastern time. Fuck you, you Nazi fucks. Have a good day. So again, good luck. Good luck in court. Good luck in court, Greg. Appreciate you. Good luck in court. That's all I can say. Good luck in court for all of them. I'm seriously. How are you going to defend it? How are you going to defend this? How are you going to defend the fact that you went out publicly before any investigation was even halfway done? Exactly, Francis. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Signed, FSM. How are you going to defend it when you literally went out and you called him a domestic terrorist and an assassin? Good luck with a civil lawsuit filed against you for defamation. I would expect that to come. When you're not pardoned by the president for your crimes, you're going to know full well that you were just a little bitch boy. A little bitch boy there to do a job, and then you're discarded like a piece of fucking overchewed gum, just like everybody else in Trump administration. He'll use them as long as he can, and then as soon as it's not good anymore, I'm done. I'm done with you all. I'm done. That's how they play. That's how they play. Hi, Jen. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay.
I just wanted to, I'm an ICU nurse, so on Saturday I felt like I had lost a friend,
Yeah.
But it really bothers me that they labeled Alex a domestic terrorist, because as a nurse, I don't think people understand how much nurses sacrifice themselves for their patients. Their bodies, their spirit, their mental capacity sometimes. We walk into rooms where we could be exposed to, illnesses. I've taken care of active tuberculosis, meningitis, C19. We think about other people before we think about ourselves. It's just disturbing that the administration would label somebody who does that for a living, especially for the ones that the president called suckers and losers, right?
Exactly.
It's so disgusting. Every nurse that I know in this county, which is a red county, is just so angry. I don't even know where to go with it. It took me 3 days to get back to a normal mental state. It was bad. And I want everybody to remember that, you know, nurses, we think about other people before we think about ourselves. And that's exactly what you saw Alex Preddy do. He thought about protecting those women before he thought about his personal safety. And that's what a real nurse does.
Somebody just made a really great point, Lexi. I think it was Lexi. No, it was K8Y. If Jonathan Ross, the guy who murdered Renee Good, if Jonathan Ross was actually injured, doubtful, and went to the hospital, Alex would have helped him.
Exactly.
And by the way, I think I did this before, but for those of you who don't know, Jen and I have become friends. A few weeks back, I had to take my daughter to the ER. And my friend Jen, I want to give you so much love and props that I texted her. I said, listen, this is a lot of PTSD for my kid. This is what's going on. And she talked me through it. And she gave me incredible advice. And she gave me the right questions to ask. And that just proves that nurses are always thinking about others. And I don't know if I thanked you enough for that. So I really, really want you to take your flowers for what you did for myself and my family.
Well, I'm always here for you and anybody. I'm always open to anybody. You know, just one thing, and then I'll drop. We had a protest here in my county, and it's full of, you know, it's red. And this MAGA guy came, and he was, you know, trying to show off on his motorcycle, make a ton of noise, and he just fell and just like his bike and stuff like that. And I was holding his neck, you know, C-spine, until the paramedics got there. And he goes, you know, I really was supporting you. I said, sir, you weren't. I know that you're MAGA, but I'd still hold your neck for you.
See, that's what humans do. That's what empaths do. I love you, friend. Thank you so much.
I love you too.
All right.
All right. You too.
Talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye. It's a great human right there. Nurses for the win. Nurses and teachers. Man, oh man. If we could just prioritize the helpers in our society, we would be able to fix so many problems. My God. It wouldn't take much either, would it? It really wouldn't. It wouldn't take much. Yeah, Jen's awesome. I'm going to keep those texts, Jen, because I look back on, I'm like, man, oh man. She was looking out for my daughter, looking out for me, looking out for my daughter. It was incredible. Got a request here. Looks like it's misbehaving again. That's fine. Okay, so I guess just to summarize all this, you know, what the administration is doing now is they know they're up against it. Their poll numbers are crashing. They are hemorrhaging across the board with everything. They're losing support within their own party in regards to how they're addressing immigration. And now they've got cold-blooded murder of American citizens right in their lap. And the only way that they have out of this is to find somebody to blame. So this goes back to what we were just discussing a while ago about how we have to look for the helpers and don't take the bait. Got to keep the pressure on. Got to keep talking about it. Got to demand. Now, I understand we've got a big vote this week because the government is scheduled to shut down, right? In the holdup, one of the appropriations bills is to fund DHS. DHS also includes FEMA and the Coast Guard. So it could get ugly. But I need you to call all of your senators and demand that they not vote to pass that appropriations bill. Now, if they want to carve out the Coast Guard and they want to carve out FEMA, sure, go ahead and do that. No problem. But you have to demand it. We've already seen a lot of those senators who joined the Republicans to open the government back in October. Catherine Cortez, I think is her name, from Nevada, and Jackie Rosen, both from Nevada. I believe that they both voted to reopen the government. Now, again, we can debate that. I do still think it was a good political move because it put the onus of solving the healthcare problem squarely on Republicans, which they didn't do. Of course, we know that. And SNAP, Mastos, exactly. Thank you. So here we are. Now, they've said that they're not going to support it, and I need you to call 202-324. Mods, would you guys mind posting that number in the chat, please? I think it's 202-324-2121, something like that. We'll find it. We'll post it for you. That's the switchboard. Call all your senators. Tell them to not vote for it. All of them. Even those of you who are represented by Republicans. Call them all. Tell them do not fund this. There needs to be reform in ICE. There needs to be response. 202-224-3121. Thank you. 202-224-3121. You can use the 5 Calls app if necessary. Again, it's 202-224-3121. That is the switchboard number. And then you can just ask for your senator. Call them today because the vote will be this week. They'll probably try to vote a couple of times. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. In fact, let's listen to John Thune now because John Thune is the Senate Majority Leader, and he's the one that's trying to force it. And I just want you to listen to how he says this. This could have been a moment for him. This could have been a moment, but no, because he's gonna talk about the DHS funding and he's gonna leave out ICE intentionally. So just listen to how he spins this.
Was a tragedy, and there should be a full and impartial investigation into the shooting. I'm glad that the president is sending Tom Homan to Minnesota, and I hope that his arrival will help restore order to the situation. I also hope that recent tragedies have inspired some soul searching among those who have participated in or encouraged abuse toward ICE officers and other law enforcement officers. It is deeply disturbing that we have had public officials essentially encouraging harassment of officers simply trying to do their duty. Mr. President, funding for a substantial portion of the government runs out this week. And we are on the clock to pass the remaining fiscal year 2026 appropriations bills. Productive talks are ongoing, and I urge my Democrat colleagues to continue their engagement and find a path forward that will avoid a needless shutdown and not jeopardize full funding for key agencies like FEMA and the Coast Guard.
Oh, now, John, that's political theater, my guy, because if you had said in that statement, funding for the Coast Guard, FEMA, and ICE. But why did you leave that out? Why did you leave that out?
We need to fund these and other essential agencies and finish our 2026 appropriations work now.
Interesting. Why would you leave that out? Now, I've been watching, political rhetoric for a long time. And what I'm hoping that our time together over these years has offered you guys is a little bit of insight into the way in which they use language. And then it gets echoed on their right-wing echo chambers, which is part of this whole, the fairness doctrine and this whole bullshit that we're going to talk about in a little bit. But that's a great example right there. Because the message that you're going to get, because most people don't pay attention. Most people don't know that DHS also, the Department of Homeland Security's budget also includes FEMA. Also includes funding for the Coast Guard, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when he just says that, they will go out on the street, they will go to their safe spaces, they will stand behind the dais at a press event and say, Democrats don't want to fund FEMA and the Coast Guard. So the question, if I were there, that I would ask, Mr. Thune, yeah, it's Steve from Factsstillmatter News. Hey, dipshit, why didn't you mention the fact that ICE budget is also included in that? And then I'd get dragged away. But that'd be fun, wouldn't it? Yeah. Seriously, that's the question. So you can stand there in your safe space. You are the safe space Senate Majority Leader, by the way. You can stand there and tell them that. But why not just be honest and say what the entire budget is for? ICE is asking for a couple of $1 billion more to get them through. I do not have a good time, right? Yeah, that's the sadomasochist in me. I'll leave that right there. But seriously, though, why not ask that question? Why did you leave that out in your speech to the Senate? Why did you not mention the fact that you're also talking about the funding to continue the brutality that ICE is engaged in based on a series of lies? Okay, just making sure. I just wanted to understand that, make sure that we're all on the same page. We did have another incident yesterday at the border in Arizona. There seems like there's a lot of information that's not yet been compiled. Federal agents were attempting to stop a pickup truck near Arivaca, Arizona, shortly after 7 a.m. yesterday. A person in the car did not pull over, eventually got out and ran. According to the sheriff, the suspect was identified by the sheriff's department as 34-year-old Patrick Gary Schlegel, a U.S. citizen from Arizona, which is about 40 miles northeast of where the shooting happened. As agents were attempting to arrest him, Schlegel fired at Border Patrol agents and an Air and Marine operation helicopter flying above. According to officials, agents returned fire, striking the driver. The man was treated at the scene, taken to the hospital in a medical helicopter, according to a statement from the Santa Rita Fire District, which responded to the incident. He is now in serious but stable condition. Circumstances are entirely different. We don't know a lot more other than just that. So, again, law enforcement does have the right to defend themselves in a situation like that. If the reporting is true, if he was fired upon, then they're trained to, return fire. More to come. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that story because I don't have a lot of the details of it yet. It's not really changed. I've not really seen an update unless somebody has, but just an example of how we have to navigate through this kind of stuff. Again, the question is, how can we believe it's even true? It's kind of my point. It's exactly the premise behind this conversation today. A few more things before we get into it. We're gonna talk about the Melania movie, by the way, which is due out this weekend. It's going to be a flop at the box office, but the Trump family and Donald and Melania in particular have already cashed in. We'll get into that in just a moment. There's a story, excuse me, that didn't really go, that went sort of unreported, and I apologize for that. I meant to get to it earlier, but Minnesota elementary schools sends an urgent message as ICE sends flyers offering food support to families. Now, this story's about a week old, but I think it just goes to show you some of the tactics that they were trying to use to basically bait people, to entrap people. Families at Ann Sullivan STEAM School received a verified message about ICE flyers as enforcement ramps up in Minneapolis. Sullivan Elementary School, this is a post that they put out on their social media. Hello, Sullivan families. We have learned that ICE is sending out flyers offering food support to families. For your safety, do not respond to these offers. If your family is in need of support, please contact the school and we will connect you with one of our school social workers. Thank you. Imagine that. Imagine that. The message, which was confirmed to be authentic and sent to families, raised alarms because it comes amid a broader, highly contentious federal immigration enforcement operation in Minneapolis. Known locally as Operation Metro Surge, the weeks-long campaign has involved thousands of ICE, Customs, and Border Protection officers and DHS officials deployed across the Twin Cities. The operation has drawn widespread attention and community backlash, as we all know. Again, this story happened, the date of this story is the 22nd, came out obviously before Alex Preddy was murdered. This surge in federal immigration activity has taken place alongside recent high-profile incidences. In response to rising concerns, parents and community volunteers have taken active roles in safeguarding local schools. In recent days, grassroots patrols equipped with whistles and walkie-talkies have been organized to monitor school grounds for federal agents amid fears that enforcement operations could appear near areas where families and children are present. The message distribution described in today's Talking Points message intersects with its climate of fear and uncertainty. Although the notice reportedly framed the outreach as food support, many families remain wary. The skepticism is fueled by concurrent reports of ICE activities near schools, school vans being stopped, and growing fears within immigrant communities that everyday routines could result in encounters with federal agents. I mean, it's just diabolical, right? And as we know, according to Greg Bovino's own words, if you so much as touch an ICE agent, you can be arrested. Well, assaulted first and then arrested. 5-year-old kid separated from his dad. Ilhan Omar assaulted in her presser yesterday. Somebody sprayed something on her. More details to come in that story. All because of what? Because they told you it was fraud? ICE wouldn't be there if it was fraud. They wouldn't be there to investigate. It would be the Department of Justice. And fraud had already been investigated in Minneapolis. Do you understand when we tell you this, MAGA? Do you understand when we tell you this entire thing is about controlling elections? Because Pam Bondi, if it was truly about fraud, then why would she be asking for voter rolls? Why? Why? Why would she be asking for voter rolls? Why would she be? And somebody said this. I think Tim Walz should comply. I think he should hand over the voter rolls with every single one redacted. A gigantic stack of paper, double-spaced, with every single name of every registered voter in the state of Minnesota redacted. Here you are. Knock yourself out. Well, they're all redacted. Yeah, it's we're protecting the privacy of the people involved. Yeah. Okay. Again, nothing to see here, though, right? So let's talk a little bit about the events in Iowa last night, because I've got some sound that I'm going to play to you from some. This goes back in time because I don't think Iowa farmers really got the message. I really don't think they got the message. Real quickly, I want to thank to Evil Snuggly Bunny on for the super chat on YouTube. Thank you so very, very much. I appreciate you guys. Super chats are great. Appreciate y'all, all the support. Again, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please consider doing so. We stream there live daily. More changes to come in the future. Also, we stream to Twitch daily. Please subscribe there. And please subscribe to our Substack. And would appreciate you guys, if you want to spread the word on what I wrote, feel free. You can find that. It's a free subscription on Substack. Go check it out. Don't forget about our goals here. Don't forget we are crowdfunded. You want to support the channel, best way to do so, you know how to do it. Okay. The president was in Iowa. It seems like he's on the barnstorming tour. It's almost like they need to get him out. It's like a toddler. Right? When your kids were little, remember they were just bouncing off the walls and you're like, just go outside, find some rocks, go break shit, please. Or your dog, like my dog constantly, right? That's what it's like. We got to get Peepaw out on the road. we have to get him out there. So, it hasn't exactly gone very well for him because the first two steps into that water have not gone well. This is the first start. He spent some time with Will Cain. He's at some restaurant in Iowa. And well, Will Cain, he's a conspiracy theorist, fucking nut job, Fox News host. Well, here you go.
Imagine that guardrails would be an understatement of what would happen should you lose the House or the Senate. There's been talk of impeachment. You've been through this before. Yeah. You've been through it multiple times.
I'm a professional.
What will happen? What will happen if Democrats take the House?
They'll probably try and impeach me. They'll say he went to Iowa and he spoke unfairly to people and he's not supposed to do that. Let's impeach him, okay? And the people in Iowa say, how did he get impeached? He just did an interview with Will, who has very good ratings, okay? But they just did an interview with Will. Now, they'll find something. There'll be something, I made the wrong turn at an exit and let's impeach him. Now, they did that before. They impeached me on a perfect phone call. Turned out they impeached me twice. And by the way, I won the impeachments very easily and quickly. But they impeached her very...
You don't win impeachments, sir. That's not how it works. You were impeached twice, okay? Impeachment is not a legal process. It is a political process. The House of Representatives, one of the two wings of the Capitol, right? The House of Representatives introduces what are called articles of impeachment. They get voted on by the members of the House, the political arm of our government. They get voted on. Republicans also supported your impeachment both times. So you were impeached twice. What happens in the Senate is the other side of the Capitol building. 50 senators, 2 from each state. Okay, 100 senators, 2 from each state. It's a trial. But it's not a legal proceeding. It is a political proceeding because the jury are the senators. And the person who oversees said trial would be the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. So there's no verdict other than Republicans aligning with you. But by the way, sir, in both cases, it was bipartisan support for your removal of office. So keep that in mind. So let's play this again from the top because this guy is fucking nuts. And I've got some more data that we're going to...
And the guardrails would be an understatement of what would happen should you lose the House or the Senate. There's been talk of impeachment. You've been through this before. Yeah. You've been through it multiple times.
I'm a professional.
What will happen? What will happen if Democrats take the House or the Senate?
They'll probably try and impeach me. They'll say he went to Iowa and he spoke unfairly to people and he's not supposed to do that. Let's impeach him, okay? And the people in Iowa say, how did he get impeached? He just did an interview with Will, who has very good ratings, okay? But they just did an interview with Will. Now, they'll find something. There'll be something, I made the wrong turn at an exit and let's impeach him. No, they did that before. They impeached me on a perfect phone call. Turned out they impeached me twice. And by the way, I won the impeachments very easily and quickly. But they impeach. They're very nasty people. You know, they have bad policy. Really bad, but they do two things. They stick together. Not stupid. And some are, because, you know, that's true with everything, right? But they stick together. But they have really bad policy.
Okay. Cool. Thanks for that, whatever the fuck that was. So he's in Iowa. So here's a little bit more from that trip to Iowa. Again, what needs to be said is that Iowa farmers in general, have been harmed significantly by Trump policies. And I'm going to go through some of the numbers for you in just a second. But when you're out on the road, sir, when you're out talking to people and you're saying things like this is the first step. This goes back to what we were discussing earlier about his desire to move responsibility from what happened with Renee Good and Alex Preddy to somebody other than himself. Here you go.
In Minneapolis.
Well, it has. It's the only place.
And now the message is out that Tom Homan is in. Commander Bovino is supposedly leaving Minneapolis.
Commander.
Along with some CBP agents. Is this a pullback?
I don't think it's a pullback. It's a little bit of a change. Everybody in this room that has a business, you know, you make little changes. You know, Bovino is very good, but he's a pretty out there kind of a guy. And
Bovino's pretty good, but he's an out there kind of guy. So Stephen Miller and the messaging wing within the White House got in Peepaw's ear and said, listen, every chance you get to diminish Bovino, you got to do it. You can't say he was a bad hire because that's going to look bad on you. So just say things like, he's very good, but he's a little bit out there. And then Peepaw's like, I got it. No problem.
In some cases, that's good. Maybe it wasn't good here.
Again?
But it's gone very differently in Minneapolis.
Well, it has. It's the only place.
And now the message is out that Tom Homan is in. Commander Bovino is supposedly leaving Minneapolis along with some CBP agents. Is this a pullback?
I don't think it's a pullback. It's a little bit of a change. Everybody in this room that has a business, you know, you make little changes. You know, Bovino is very good, but he's a pretty out there kind of a guy. And in some cases, that's good. Maybe it wasn't good here.
Okay. Good luck with that. So then he's out speaking to his friends in Iowa, you know, the farming community that he's really damaged. So much so that I was just curious because I kind of went back and looked at the bailout that's happened twice now. So shocker. Now, MAGA, you may not know this, but because of, wait for it, tariff policy in his first administration, he crippled the agriculture industry in our country, crippled it. So in his first term, it was during Trump's trade war, especially tariffs on China. U.S. farmers got hit hard. This is from Reuters. Got hit hard when buyers retaliated against American crops. To prevent widespread farm bankruptcies and political fallout in rural states, including Iowa, the administration rolled out massive federal aid, $28 billion goal between 2018 and 2019, $12 billion in 2018, $16 billion in 2019. This was larger than the auto industry bailout, which was $12 billion. So self-inflicted. So he caused it. Okay, so he caused it. The aid came mainly through the USDA's Market Facilitation Program, or MFP. It was direct cash payment to farmers, commodity purchases by the government, and then export promotion programs. Payments were tied to acreage and crop type, not actual losses. Large agribusinesses were the ones who benefited the most, and big landowners, Monsantos of the world. Those were the biggest recipients. Now that tracks because every single fucking policy that comes from Republicans these days in the last 50 years has always benefited the big guy. Always. Always. So in this case, just like the tax breaks, just like the TCJA, just like the OBBBA, all of it, they always benefit the top. So the biggest recipients of the self-inflicted harm he did to the farming community, and in particular Iowa, the biggest beneficiaries were large agribusinesses. Tyson, Monsanto, you got it. And then all of a sudden, this little side business comes along that J.D. Vance has got his fingers in. It's called Acre Trader. When those small family farms go out of business, who's there to buy it up? Companies like Acre Trader. They get absorbed by Tyson. They get absorbed by Monsanto. And Iowa farmers did not learn their fucking lesson. Anyway, who benefited the most? Large agribusinesses and big landowners, soybean, corn, pork, and dairy producers, and the top 10% of recipients received a disproportionate share of the money. Shocker. Smaller and diversified farms often got far less or next to nothing. China slapped, why it happened? China slapped tariffs on U.S. soybeans, pork, and corn. U.S. agriculture exports in China collapsed. Farm income fell sharply. Trump policy encouraged farmers to hold on while the government covered losses. Okay. Critics point out several contradictions. The conservatives opposing government handouts largely supported this one. Why? Because it happened in conservative states. It undercut the free market principles. Payments resembled ongoing subsidies, not emergency relief, and some farmers became dependent on federal aid, increasing long-term risks. From all the interviews that I've seen with farmers, like, we don't want the bailout. We just want to be able to compete. Argentina, too, you're right. We just want to be able to compete. We don't want you put us in this position. You allowed this to happen with your fucking policies. We just want to compete. We don't want the bailouts. Okay. Farmers were collateral damage in a geopolitical fight. Aid was necessary to stabilize food supply chains, and then other countries heavily subsidized agriculture anyway. And guess what? Happened again. Trump administration announced in December a $12 billion farm aid package intended to provide immediate financial relief to U.S. farmers suffering from market disruptions, high input costs, inflation, and reduced exports tied to ongoing trade conditions. This is from the USDA. This program is officially called the Farmer Bridge Assistance Program, or FBA, and is aimed primarily at row crop producers. They talk about row crops like soy and corn, like rows, right? $11 billion goes to row crop and commodity farmers, soybeans, corn, wheat, rice, cotton, etc. And then $1 billion is reserved for specialty crops and commodities not covered by the main program. Payments are based on modeled crop year losses and per acre formulas, and the USDA expects to distribute funds by late February of 2026. According to USDA announcements, the FBA program calculates support by crop type with different per acre rates reflecting estimated losses. Corn gets $44.36 per acre. Soybeans $30.88. Wheat $39.35. Rice $132.89 per acre. And then cotton $117.35 per acre. Why it happened? Why do you think this happened, friends? We could go back 6 years and give you the exact same formula. Weak export markets, notably for soybeans and corn, rising production costs, and then retaliatory global tariffs and market access, which then affected demand for U.S. crops. It's the same fucking script over again. The same script. And Iowa continues to vote Republican, although that gap is narrowing. Yeah, Biden's fault, of course. Biden's fault, totally. Totally Biden's fault. So he said that, right? His policies did that. So I want you to hear some of the things that he said when he's out speaking to voters in Iowa. Okay, this is wild. Here you go. This is the first.
After a rigged election, we had a rigged election. I said, do we do it again? And I said, I think we better do it again. Not too many people who would have said that, but we did so well the second time. I said, well, we won twice. We got to do it a third time. Should we do it a fourth time? Four victories.
Okay. So he's standing there basically mocking his voters, saying, should we do it again? Should we do it again? Sure, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's just run it back. This then, I got to find this.
After a rigged election, we had a rigged election.
I just want to find this sound because I think it's so fucking relevant what he had to say. Hang on one sec. Everybody keep tapping, please. We're still getting banged by these weird ass fucking restrictions. I don't know. Again, keep in mind that he had to bail out Iowa farmers because of the position that he put them in. And then he has the gall to go out and speak to his loyal voters in Iowa and say, where is it? This. Again, keep in mind, he he bankrupt family farms. We know that from the data. I'm going to play an interview in just a moment. I'm going to play a news story on it in just a moment. But he is standing there in front of Iowa farmers, loyal voters for him. He bankrupt family farms in their community, and he has the fucking gall to say this to his voters. This is fucking wild. Here you go.
A lot of people rich. Me, I just keep working. I made a lot of people rich. I made a lot of people rich that I don't even like. I got a lot of people that I don't like at all, and I've doubled their net worth. I mean, I made a lot of people rich. Me, I just keep working. I made a lot of people rich. I made a lot of people rich that I don't even like. I got a lot of people that I don't like at all, and I've doubled their net worth.
And people that are cheering for him, and then people standing behind him they have signs that say lower prices, bigger paychecks. Can you imagine that? I mean, these families have suffered. Yeah, I should say 8 years. Goes back to 2018. Is that really 8 years ago? That's fucking wild. Damn. He's bailed out these communities twice because of his own fucking policies, and he's standing there bragging to people about how he's made other people rich, including himself. We're going to get into that in just a moment. They're laughing. They're laughing about it. So going into that, people were like the man on the street stuff. People were interviewed about like what they want from this. So these are Iowa voters. These are Trump voters. I want you to listen to what they have to say. The Des Moines Register are the interviewers in this. Let me play this for you. Here you go.
Big thing, about Iowa, he's been talking about the farmers. So I'm hoping we're getting a big economic boost here to help the farmers and just help out. I mean, we've been in trouble for a little while now.
Here because I respect any national leader. I'm here to see what the president has to say. I'm here to see if he deserves to be the CEO of our country. I'm here to see if he does have presidential stature or if he is just following his own agenda.
With the whole ICE thing, illegals is a problem, right? Maybe ICE is going a little bit with legals, as they should be, but it's the illegals that I think should not be here. So
I'm happiest about immigration reform. I'm happiest about him deregulating the economy. I'm happy about the investment that's going on in the economy, the growth of the United States.
I actually think healthcare is stabilized. It was going up for years, and I do believe it's starting to kind of stabilize out, especially medicine. I got 4 kids on different types of medicine, and this year is the first year it did not go up.
I like how he's coming to Iowa. You don't, not to, dump on the past administration, but you didn't see him ever coming to Iowa, so that he's coming to our hometown is pretty nice.
I don't know what to say. These people are just so fucking brainwashed. You notice the first guy is the only guy that even talked about the farm, and he talked about I hope he does something for farmers. I really hope he does. I really hope he steps up and helps us. I really do. I really hope he helps us. And everybody else is like, well, I really hope the president shows his power as a leader. One guy talks about ICE, another guy talks about investments that aren't there. Meanwhile, they're watching their own family legacy just fucking bought up by some large corporate agribusiness. What? Okay, that's fine. I mean, you just keep doing you, boo. Nothing to see here. Here's a little. This goes back again to earlier in his administration, and this is about Iowa farmers and farmers in general. This is a bit of a long story, but I want you to hear this because we now know the damage that his tariffs have caused once again. Again, news. They're being told all these things. They're being told they're going to help him. We're taking on affordability, even though it's a hoax. We're going to lower your prices. We're going to end inflation. You're going to get DOGE checks. You're going to be getting tariff rebate checks. Blah blah blah. And then because most of his voters are not educated, all of this shit gets through the filter. All of it, fucking all of it, and they are being harmed. And you know what? Because we truly believe in helping everybody. Even if they are down to their last fucking nickel and that they have themselves to blame, I want them to have health care. I want their kids to have a better life. I want them to not have to struggle. I want them to be able to rely on government programs to help bail them out. Would they say the same thing about us? Fuck no. Here you go.
America's farmers, already feeling the pinch, are worried about the possibility of more challenges. That's because President Trump is threatening to deport millions of undocumented immigrants, creating uncertainty about the future of the workforce.
It takes a lot of hands to hand harvest fruits and vegetables.
Talk to any farmer, and they'll tell you it's difficult work.
This is a 24-hour job, so I need people who are willing to work in shifts at different times of the day.
But it's hard to find those people.
Yeah.
American farms are on the decline. There was a 7% drop in farms from 2017 to 2022, according to the USDA. That's about 142,000 fewer farms in just 5 years. These days, farmers...
And by the way, the bulk of those farm closures occurred between 2017 and 2020. The entire duration of the Trump presidency.
Are up against bird flu outbreaks, higher costs for feed and fertilizer, and climate change. But their livelihoods depend on a reliable workforce. And now they're concerned about how President Trump's campaign promise to launch the largest deportation effort in American history will play out. About 2/3 of crop workers are foreign-born. And while many come to the U.S. for seasonal jobs legally through H-2A visas, the USDA estimates that 42% of crop laborers are undocumented. New Jersey farmer Kurt Alstead says his workers are all legally authorized, but he's watching closely to see what Trump does next.
When we talk about the ripple effects of a potential mass deportation, labor is already hard enough to find as is. Could it be even more difficult to find across the board if that does happen?
Well, there's no question in the United States we have a shrinking workforce. Anything that happens from a policy standpoint that reduces people in our workforce is going to make it very difficult for industry, and certainly for agriculture. We would be in big trouble if we lost workforce.
The labor union, United Farm Workers, has already seen an uptick in migrants asking for help.
The threats are scary.
So let's think of this big picture, right? So 42% of farm workers in our country are, as they describe in this piece, foreign-born. 42%. He's already crippled the farming industry the first time through his tariffs. Mass deportation by rounding up people who are just picking strawberries, have done nothing fucking wrong. And now they're crippling even more farms because of this. And yet here he is. He goes to fucking Iowa. He stands there and he says, I made so many people rich, including myself. And there's still people behind him fucking cheering for him. That's the power of indoctrination. That is the power. That is taking advantage of internalized racism that many of those people think that they don't have. They're totally fine taking advantage of their foreign-born workers, knowing full well that many of them are undocumented, knowing full well that many of them are not here legally, as they say, and still they're totally happy with immigration. You heard that one guy. I'm psyched about immigration. I'm psyched about ICE. And they're wondering why they can't hire people? Are you kidding me? Somebody just asked the question. Somebody asked the question, how do we break the indoctrination? You guys know my answer. Let's see how smart you are. You're the smartest chat on TikTok. How do we break through the indoctrination? Let's see what you say. Let's see what the answers are. What do you think? It's a question to you guys. Education. Education. That's it. You've got to keep people informed of what media literacy is and why it's important and why this shit is not being filtered out. You are literally talking to you could have an Iowa voter sitting on their porch with a foreclosure sign on their front lawn. Okay? And then ask what the situation is. Did you vote for Mr. Trump? Yes. Would you vote for him again? Absolutely. Are you aware that his tariffs the first time caused your farm to suffer? Absolutely. And his second time? No doubt. And the fact, have you had undocumented workers employed in the past? Yes, I have. And your workers, you can't find them now because a lot of them had been deported? Definitely. And you still vote for them? Yep. Am I wrong about that? Am I wrong about my theory? No. So indoctrination does. This is the entire push from this particular iteration of this administration. We are going to lie to people that we need voters. We're going to lie to them. And then we're going to try to fix it by offering them subsidies, whatever that might be. Now we're going to deport their workforce, and we're going to tell them that their workforce is a threat. We have to deport them because they're rapists and they're murderers and they're traffickers. And their people will be like, okay, I can't feed my family. I'm a farmer. But Trump told me it's okay. Man, this is fucking nuts. This is nuts.
Hey, I'll be real quick. I'm sorry for the background.
Hey, bro.
Lady Hawk 1961. I've been trying to contact you, but my messages might be in your spam folder. So if you can check that and get back to me, I'm trying to contact you about the road show. I'm not gonna get back to work.
Okay, bro. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate that. See you later. Bye. Yeah, Lady Hawk 1961. If you're in here, you mentioned the other day that you want to help, perhaps consider.
Forty, 45 cows.
And who is doing all of this work?
I would say about 90% is done by immigrants.
90%. Okay. 90% done by immigrants. 90%.
It's like Kevin, who was born in central Mexico and crossed the U.S. border illegally when he was 18. Now 21, Kevin is among the 11 million undocumented migrants living in the U.S. More than 10,000 of them work on Wisconsin dairy farms.
And by the way, that little stat, and I confirm that, the number that we get from DHS is 11 million total. Not 20 million that came in during the Biden administration, 11 million total that goes back years. That is DHS's number. So MAGA, fuck you with all your bullshit talking points. Okay? Thanks.
What kind of work do you do here on the farm? ¿Qué trabajo haces aquí en la granja?
Alimentar y también limpiar los corrales.
You feed the cows and you clean the barns too. Kevin, who did not provide his last name during our interview, says he often works 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, sometimes starting as early as 3 a.m.
Did you catch that, MAGA? Do any of you betas work that hard? I doubt it.
But the pay is better than back home. Does your family depend on your salary here in the U.S.? My mother and my siblings, of course. But since I have my dad here, he also sends them money. Nationally, more than half the workers in the dairy industry are undocumented. Like Kevin, many leave behind loved ones for wages that are below what American workers get. Some people would be saying that you could be right now hiring American workers to do this job.
I want you to listen to this portion, MAGA. This is for you. I worked at a farm all through junior high and high school, like 2 miles from my house. The hardest job I have ever had in my life. It is back-breaking fucking work. Back-breaking work. And this gentleman, Ernesto, who'd be interviewed, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, starting at 3 o'clock in the morning, busting his fucking ass. So now you're going to hear the interviewer ask the farm owner a very, very pointed question.
More than half the workers in the dairy industry are undocumented. Like Kevin, many leave behind loved ones for wages that are below what American workers get. Some people would be saying that you could be right now hiring American workers to do this job, and that the only reason you're not doing that is because you can pay immigrants less. How would you respond to that?
If I hired Americans to do the work, I would have to pay probably about $100,000 a year per person, and they would only work 40, 50 hours a week. I would be out of business within 6 months. I couldn't afford it. If the price of milk was, or like a gallon of milk cost $10 in the store, then I could probably do that.
So this guy's not innocent in this. He understands, but he can't get workers. He understands. I mean, he's admitting it. Obviously, he's paying somebody a lot less than he would to pay an American-born worker, right? So he's not innocent in this. The point I'm making is that 40+% of the entire agriculture industry in our country is staffed and worked by immigrants, busting their fucking ass every fucking day without complaint. Some of the hardest work you could ever imagine. And the beta fucks that are in this country complain. They would never do the job. They would never do the job. And here are these Iowa farmers again, knowing full well that their farm businesses are going bankrupt because of Trump tariffs, round 2, and mass deportation. Makes perfect sense.
The new administration is already following through on its promise to deport the undocumented. What would happen to your farm and to your business if they are all sent back to their home country?
If that would happen, I'm out of business.
There you
And it wouldn't take long.
Rosno fears the future. Kevin does not.
Hace 4 años yo estuve aquí.
4 years ago, when he was president, he said, "I am going to deport everyone," but it never happened. Sometimes we would watch the news and we would see that a family was deported, and we were scared to go out and buy groceries. But I have not felt fear since then. A fear he hopes he'll never feel again. Camilo Montoya Galvez, CBS News, Wamandi, Wisconsin.
President Trump's policies in these early days of his second term are creating uncertainty across the country. Cuts he's making in foreign food aid could have a major impact in America's heartland, where much of the food is grown. Nicole Killian reports from Larned, Kansas.
John Dryden's family has farmed in western Kansas for more than a century. He grows wheat, corn, soybeans, and sorghum, or milo.
We may switch to more corn, dry land acres, just knowing there's usually always a market for corn.
So you may grow corn instead of milo?
More corn than milo, yes.
Since USAID's Food for Peace program has been suspended, there is virtually no market for milo.
Ripple effect, right? USAID, again, assisting foreign nations with food, education, humanitarian aid, medical supplies, resources, and a lot of domestic farmers were part of that. The crops that they grew went to support these agencies. But, waste, fraud, and abuse. Got it.
According to Kim Barnes.
This is the milo that you're talking
this is
about.
The milo crop. They make flour out of it. It goes into pet food, ethanol. You eat it.
He's with the Pawnee County Co-op that purchases grain from farmers, including Dryden. Now, instead of selling it, he's storing it.
When you're sitting here on 1.7 million bushels of milo, you kind of like to see it move on to the next step, especially when we have people in the world that are hungry.
So while this program is paused, what are you doing?
Well, right now I'm turning over every rock I can find.
Until he finds buyers, he's worried the co-op and the community may take a loss.
The person downtown's not going to sell any furniture. The grocery stores are going to be affected. People just aren't going to buy.
But Dryden is still going to farm.
We're throwing punches all the time, basically. Drought, hailstorms, insects. This is just another punch.
How many more punches can you take?
I don't know.
I'm Skylar Henry in Fitzgerald, Georgia, where cuts in Washington to USAID are threatening this rural economy.
What's the cost of one box?
One box is about $40.
Mark Moore is the CEO of the nonprofit Manna Nutrition, which makes a peanut paste to feed starving kids in war zones and famines.
If the system stops, to catch back up, it'll cost not just time, but lives, thousands, if not tens of thousands of lives.
What Moore makes is pretty simple. Take peanuts, blend it with milk, sugar, and vitamins. The result might not look like much, but he says it can work miracles. But not while the federal contract he has counted on for years is in limbo.
We're on, and then we're off, and then we're back on again.
He says he received a stop work order on January 29th, then told to resume 8 days later, then had his contracts canceled. And late Sunday, they were reinstated again. And with 130 employees, Manna is one of the top employers in Ben Hill County, 3 hours outside of Atlanta.
My first priority is my people.
Jason Holt is the mayor of Fitzgerald.
Manna is a 2- or 3-fold contributor to our economy. They purchase raw products, they employ people, and they serve a great humanitarian purpose.
What's your hope?
I hope they continue to grow.
For Mayor Holt, keeping the economy healthy here is personal.
I have a graduating senior coming up. He has a path in mind.
Yeah.
He would like to come home, and I want Fitzgerald to be here for him to come home too.
And Skylar Henry joins us now from Atlanta, Georgia. Skylar, this isn't just about one product or one company. Give us a sense of some of the ripple effects here.
Yeah, John, this is many farmers in many states. Manna says that it relies or it can get a supply from as many as 27 states, but they really rely on a handful, and that is milk from Michigan and Texas. They get their sugar from Louisiana and Florida, and then they obviously get their peanuts from right here in Georgia. All of those farmers would have to find alternative places to send their products.
In the trade war, Canada and China fired the latest shots today. The province of Ontario put a 25% surcharge on electricity sales to Michigan, Minnesota, and New York. Ed O'Keefe will have more about that from Ottawa.
But first, China slapped an additional 15% import tax on American farm products, including pork.
This is a compilation that I found that I think lays out the last year. And I'll get back to it in just a second. Somebody said this. But pronouns were too much for them. But less than 0.1% of our population, the trans community, is too much for them. Radical leftists, too much for them. People who want health care. Dudes who varnish their nails. There's a part of me that is just, I am so saddened by this. I am just like, you think about symbolic, traditional American imagery. Whether you get the aerial footage of the opening credits to Friday Night Lights, or you get the Chevy campaigns like a rock, or you get the gravelly-faced farmer who's been working the fields forever. And these people just continue to vote for them. Feel the dreams. Great call, Courtney. Great call. Education, lack thereof, and I'm sorry, but racism and white supremacy. I don't know how else you could describe it. And I'm going to sneak the church in there too, because these people are devout, by and large. Christians go to church every Sunday. It's really sad. It is really, really sad that they have been brainwashed that much. Appeal to the core of their worst characteristics. Who can I blame? I need to blame someone. these are the people that I want to talk to when I go out on the road. These are the folks that I want to talk to. And yes, I know my target is non-voters, but these folks, right? Like, why do you keep voting for this? It's never helped you. Here's what you should be voting for. You want your son or your daughter to come home from college? Then you got to be voting for a system that provides health care so they're not stuck without it. You need to be voting for a system that promotes work by raising federal minimum wage, by going after predatory lending, by getting rid of junk bank fees, by investing in infrastructure so there can be more housing, more inventory. Not what you've been voting for because you've been told to. You're right. A lot of them even hate college. It's part of me it's just so sad to listen to this shit. But you get what you pay for, so to speak.
Poultry, beef, and soybeans. And Lana Zach is in the heart of farm country, Mount Vernon, Iowa.
These are all beef cows.
Tim Keegan calls himself a pretty basic Iowa farmer. His family's been working the land in Mount Vernon, a few hours east of Des Moines, for generations. Their livelihood comes from corn, soybeans, and a small herd of 150 cows.
How high are the stakes for you?
It's tough because within agriculture, I mean, we essentially get one chance a year to raise a crop and market that crop and sell that crop.
You don't have like 5 different harvests.
No, it's not like we're a factory where we're constantly putting out widgets every day and we can make a change and the widget's going to come out cheaper or different the next day. So we're forced to be a lot more forward thinking, just the nature of our business.
China is the largest overseas market for many U.S. farm products. Last year, the U.S. exported nearly $13 billion worth of soybeans from farmers like Keegan to China alone, and another $1.5 billion in beef. Now, import tariffs up to 15% from China are hitting cash crops.
I think people within agriculture are hoping that some of this is these tariffs and stuff will be short term from a negotiation standpoint. And if they are long term, they will have some pretty big impacts.
He's still holding out hope
within the industry.
41 years later, we're still here.
But Mount Vernon's mayor, Thomas Weasler, says even short-term tariffs on the town's farmers could send shockwaves through the economy.
We need them to be successful and on every level. We need a thriving agricultural community. Otherwise, there's a gap in what we provide to our citizens here.
And once again, the president of the United States stands in front of those same people and says this.
I mean, I made a lot of people rich. Me, I just keep working. I made a lot of people rich. I made a lot of people rich that I don't even like. I got a lot of people that I don't like at all, and I've doubled their net worth.
And he's laughing at you. There's a little bit more from the word from the mouth of the farmer. He's literally laughing at you. Laughing at you. I used you twice. Shit, I could probably use you again. Guess what? I used you again because you still fucking vote for me.
56-year-old, rural, gun-owning white guy. And if Kamala Harris thinks I'll vote for her, she's right. So I was trying to explain to my son how tariffs work. When I was his age, I didn't have a clue. I gave him a very simplified version. I told him that, imagine, son, that you're a cake maker and you sell cakes. You sell cakes in your county and you sell cakes in Smith County and in Jones County. And you're doing really well, selling a lot of cakes. But Smith County, they got their own cake makers and they want to cut down on your business to help their cake makers. Now, Smith County, they also sell cakes in Jones County. And the health department in Smith County, they come to you and say, well, you're going to have to pay a $1 fee for every cake that you sell in our county so that we can make sure that they're healthy. Well, there's two things that you do. The first thing you do is you add $1 to the price of your cake for everybody in Smith County. The other thing you do is you start selling fewer cakes in Smith County and more cakes in Jones County. You know, where Smith County is also selling cakes. So you're still selling cakes in Smith County, but they're more expensive because you're not going to eat that $1. You're not going to just take $1 off your profit to pay Smith County. you're going to increase the price. And the people in Smith County who want your cakes are still going to buy them, but they're going to pay another $1. They're going to pay your tariff fee. Meanwhile, since you shifted some of your business over to Jones County, the cake makers that were in Smith County, their market share went down and they can't sell as many cakes. That's what happened the last time Trump was president. He put tariffs on countries that sell things here that we need, in particular that our farmers need. And those countries, well, they started selling their stuff in other countries, not as much here, and they increased the prices of everything that they sold here that had a tariff on it. And you and I, we paid the price. We paid a higher price for those goods. It was a tax on us. And that's exactly what my son said. He says, Dad, that sounds like another kind of tax. Yes, son, it is. And when Trump did this, we paid a tax, if you will, on his tariffs, and our farmers lost a lot of market share in other countries. We lost a lot of farmers to bankruptcy because of Trump's tariffs last time. And now he's going to be tariffs on steroids. If you believe what he says on his stump speech, he's going to put 10-20% tariffs on all kinds of countries. Everybody that imports to America, he wants to put a tariff on them. And he says that they're going to pay the price. Well, they're not going to do that. They're going to increase the price of their cake, and we're going to pay for it. I hope that helps people understand tariffs are not the way to go, and Trump is all about tariffs.
And again, these people are some of the most loyal voters that he's ever had. I want to play that. I just want to play that one bit of sound for you guys again, because you've heard it. I can't. I don't know how I can't convince you. I mean, I don't need to convince you. You guys are smart. But this is what his voters are saying about him in anticipation of listening to him speak in Iowa, and insulting them, speaking down to them, diminishing them, laughing at them, mocking them. More importantly, mocking them. That's the most egregious part of it. Just laughing. Where's the sound? Hang on a second. I've got it here. That's to me, that's the worst part. That they just continue to support him, no matter what. Where is it? Hang on one sec. Everybody keep tapping, please. Appreciate you guys very much. Tapping is clapping, liking is loving, sharing is caring. Here you go.
Big thing, about Iowa, he's been talking about the farmers. So I'm hoping we're getting a big economic boost here to help the farmers and just help out. I mean, we've been in trouble for a little while now.
Again, we've been in trouble for a little while now. We know how far back this goes, my guy. You're in trouble because of Trump-era politics. Full fucking stop.
Because I respect any national leader. I'm here to see what the president has to say. I'm here to see if he deserves to be the CEO of our country.
CEO. That's part of the problem. We'll talk about that in a minute.
I'm here to see if he does have presidential stature or if he is just following his own agenda.
With the whole ICE thing, illegals is a problem, right? Maybe ICE is going a little bit with legals.
Bro, did you understand that your entire industry in the state that you're now in depends on undocumented workers? Because you're not going to do the job, pussy-ass bitch white boy. You're not going to do it. They're busting their ass to put food on your fucking table, and you want to diminish them? Keep it up.
Well, as they should be, but it's the illegals that I think should not be here. So
I'm happiest about immigration reform. I'm happiest about him deregulating the economy. I'm happy about the investment that's going on in the economy, the growth of the United States.
I actually think healthcare is stabilized. It was going up for years, and I do believe it's starting to kind of stabilize out, especially medicine. I got 4 kids on different types of medicine, and this year is the first year it did not go up.
I like how he's coming to Iowa. You don't, not to, dump on the past administration, but you didn't see him ever coming to Iowa, so that he's coming to our hometown is pretty nice.
There you go. So now that you hear that again, after I played the story of Iowa farmers, and I played the story of how the family farms have been crippled, farms across the country, those that support USAID internationally and those that support USAID programs domestically. And there's still, this was hours ago. This was in anticipation of his arrival last night. I mean, come on. Come on. Where is the, I don't even know what to say. And somebody just said this in the chat. These folks are lost. Yeah, they are. They are. They are lost. That's why we have to talk to non-voters. So that will lead me to a quick segue onto our Do Something tour. So in case you're just joining us, many of you are here every day. Thank you all for your kindness and your support and your loyalty. You've heard this script before. I look at a 90 million voters, registered voters who did not participate in our last democracy, and I want to talk to as many as I possibly can, because there are people here that are hearing the news that a lot of the information that's really important to them is just not seeking through. Different because they're not necessarily an engaged voter. They're just like, I am done. I look at the 90 million voting, the 90 million people. I look at 45 million people who are the complainers, the whiners, the two wings of the same bird, the two sides of the same coin crowd, the Jill Stein voters who just don't give a shit. They don't know what harm reduction is, okay? And then there's the other half, the other 45 million people who are impacted every single day by things, but they just feel like no one is listening. They've not been visited by their representative. They may not even know who their representative is. They don't feel like anybody's listening. They're watching their paychecks get smaller and smaller and their costs go up and up, and they just feel like no one is looking out for them. Those are the people that I want to talk to, and I will do it in a farming community. I'll do it in a large metropolitan area. I'll do it at a basketball court, a skate park, a motorcycle shop, a guitar shop, a fucking diner. I don't give a shit. If the number is 45 million, if we get 1% of those people engaged from face-to-face conversations, then that would be huge, especially in swing states. That is my mission. I'm going to need your help. There's a lot of people that have stepped up that want to support us. Going to need your help with organizing. You know, we're looking for potentially agency representation, because that's the part that I can't get my head around, as to how to organize these events across the country. Ideally, we're going to start in, I'll green eggs and ham it. You're absolutely right. Likely going to start in perhaps Western New York, depending on transportation, and try to hit up the eastern half of the U.S. Go to as many states as possible. And if we can prove out this proof of concept, then we'll take it on the road again in September, leading on up to the elections. That's our mission. That's our goal. That's what we want to do, because these folks here may be too far gone. But I have a feeling that if some of them are sitting in the booth, you know, the red pleather booth in a farming community, and I'm talking to people who don't vote, and there's folks that are sitting there listening, maybe, just maybe, they might hear it too and be like, Jesus, yeah, we've been getting hosed and we're getting laughed at. So that's our goal. And there'll be more to come. Please consider joining, like I said, join our Discord, because in the Discord you can find more information on our Do Something tour. So yeah, we got a lot of heavy lifting, friends. That's the whole point of Do Something, right? If I'm able to do, I will figure it out some way. It may not exactly come off the way it is in my brain, but if I can figure it out, I will. I should say when I figure it out. Recovering. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you today, Facts?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to touch base again regarding the farming video that you were playing earlier, in regards to how some of these farmers use undocumented people for their services, correct? And
42%. 42% of the agriculture employers. Yeah, exactly.
Correct. So when I was hearing the video, what came to my mind was, this had to be the same, the mindset of the farmers now, I feel like, is parallel to the thought process of the slave masters back in the day, when slavery was discontinued, if that makes sense. I feel like they did not think about the well-being of those that were working for them, just like they wasn't thinking about the well-being of the slaves. They're not thinking of the well-being of the undocumented immigrants that are working for them. I feel like they are, like you said, with the farmer who was saying, like, I can't afford to hire an American farm worker because I will have to pay them $100K salary per
Yeah,
person. Exactly. Like, he's saying this in a way like, because it's acceptable. His mindset is acceptable because the parallel that it has with white supremacy. The only thing is the slaves are not slaves anymore. They are the undocumented individuals that come here to make a better life for themselves. So
that's exactly why I said he's not innocent in this.
Correct.
That's exactly why I said that.
Listen, right. I was hollering and screaming at when you was talking, I was like, yes, fact. Yeah, like I was just hooting and hollering because you hit the nail on the head. And what I just wanted to bring forward is the parallel of mindset. I think we're so stuck on the action which is going to follow because the mindset has not changed. The theory has not changed. Like you said, white supremacy, the church, all of these things contributes back to where we are today. Nothing has changed but the bodies that are doing the work. That's the only thing has changed. And the fact that they are being... go ahead.
Somebody just said in the comments, the new Jim Crow.
Correct. It's just the people are different. You see what I'm saying? I don't want to say they can't do anything to Black, African Americans or those that are descended of slaves because they've done enough to us. But what I'm saying is, at this point today in 2026, they can't get us. So they're getting what they can. And I'm not saying it in a way when I say low-hanging fruit. I'm not saying it in a way of class. I'm just saying the easily reachable, if that makes sense. And I say that
the vulnerable.
Correct. I will say this: if there are anybody here that's listening, that is a part of this whole demographic of what's going on, don't forget to educate yourself. That is the way that y'all will get out these farms. That is the way that you guys will be able to allow these farmers to figure it out on their own. Y'all came here with the tools, helping these American farmers. You can create your own farm. You can do your own way of doing it because these American farms cannot function without illegal, I don't want to say that word, excuse me, undocumented individuals. You get what I'm trying to say?
Correct.
And
I know exactly what you're saying.
It's just if I was on my soapbox in the middle of a place where it was majority, undocumented people, I would say continue to educate your children. Continue to push these children to go to college. Continue to push these children to create their own ways. Continue to push them to be doctors to where they're making the 400 and 500K so that they can get their families out of this situation. These fathers and these families that are coming here with these resources, you have it. You don't need the white man to get what you can because you're already coming here with the goods. America does not have... We are not a manufacturing country. So we're getting all of these people coming into this country that has the manufacturing skills to do what they want on their own. But the fact is, white supremacy is the crutch or is the kink in the chain that causes these people to feel like they can't. You know what I mean? Your proximity to whiteness does not save you. Just like... And I say this when I say this on the other side, I say this with white people too. Proximity does not save you. Just because Renee Good is a white woman or Mr. Peretti is an RN nurse, that proximity to you doesn't save you. It doesn't put you in a place of victimhood. You are not a victim because you are also an RN white nurse. You're not a victim. Your proximity don't mean shit in America. And it's time that people understand that right now, today. And I'm just like, come on, y'all. Let's focus on the theory. It's deeper than the action. These people are indoctrinated. These people are born to think this way. If you don't counteract their thought process, you're not getting nowhere. And I just want to come up here and just say that if you want to know how African Americans did it, they educated their children. We were able to go. I have an economics degree. I'm a black woman with an economics degree. I did that so that I can make enough money to get my mom in a better place, to be able to educate my mom on certain stigmas that are going on in America to change her process, if that makes sense. Facts. You get what I'm saying? It's like we learned that, hey, my grandmother was a maid, and she took care of a prominent white family in our where I'm from, right? She noticed that those white children that she was raising was going to college and becoming something. She saved every coin she could to get her first of 4 daughters into college. Once that daughter went to college, her daughter went to college. Once her daughter went to college, her cousins went to college. You have to have a way that doesn't touch violence to be able to pursue yourself even when you're in the midst of chaos. And, you wonder why black women or black people are not moving, because we're used to the chaos. We know how to rest in chaos, if that makes sense to you. We know how to block it out and continue to push. They've done told us that they're gonna take away nursing and not make it a professional thing and all this because more black women are becoming nurses. So you know what the black women are saying now? Oh, that's fine. I'll go to medical school. That's what you have to put in your children. Okay. You're not gonna get me the funding to become a nurse? Fine. I'll take 2 more classes, take the MCAT and go to medical school. Not, oh my God, what am I gonna do? That don't do shit, but have someone else step over you and move on. So I say that to say, attack the theory. Attack the theory and the action will follow. I get no offense, facts. I say one more thing and I'm gonna get off of here.
No.
One thing that annoys me the most.
Preach.
The one thing that annoys me the most, and I say this with so much love, you white women come up here and you claim your proximity to things in a way that it continues to put you in the victimization box. That annoys the fuck out of me. Because your proximity does not say you need to be a victim. Your proximity says, I need to get my ass up and go sit with my son and see what his mindset is at. Let me sit with my daughter and see what type of men she's into or what type of women she's into. Who are her friends around? Your proximity does not give you an opportunity to be a victim. Okay? That's not what proximity does. And I'm done. Go ahead, Facts. I'm a mute.
No notes, my friend. No notes. Thank you so very much for that. That was exactly what everybody needed today. I really, really appreciate your voice. As always, it's good to see you again. Don't stay away so long the next time, okay?
I won't. I promise I won't. I try to just let you do your thing. Facts, I love you, and you just keep doing what you're doing, baby.
Thank you, friend. I'll talk to you soon. Be safe out there.
Bye-bye.
Right, bye. No notes. What else can you say? It's a reiteration of the message that we got earlier this week. Notice it's always the queens, just reminding everybody. Black women stepping into the breach every fucking time. Every fucking time. Are we ever going to listen? Are we ever going to pay attention? Are we ever going to say, how did you guys navigate through that shit, knowing full well that you're going to be beaten, imprisoned, assaulted, unalived? And their answer is always the same. What choice did we have? What choice? What choice did they have? And now that crosshair is squarely on the backs of everyday Americans, white women, nondescript white women, nurses, ICU nurses, white men, legally, licensed to carry a gun, white men. And we expect that we're going to be coddled even more. And then you get the farming community. And like I said, I'm glad she pointed that out, because like I said in that video, that farmer is culpable. He knows full well that he's got undocumented immigrants working for him. Some might be licensed to work, some might not be. But he's like, I really don't care, because I can't get Americans to do the job. First of all, they're too soft. They won't do the job, and I'm going to have to pay them a lot of money. Here we are. No notes. Thank you, Queen. I appreciate you so much. It's crazy. So much to learn. Mother Truck, how are you today?
Hi. I didn't expect to be up so soon. I'm going to try and gather the thoughts that I had, I think it was yesterday, about people talking about what they can do within their limits. I don't have the knowledge of like researching all the facts and arguing, with dimwits. But I just try and be there for those, like, what was the recovering? I'm a white woman. I have privilege. It pisses me off daily that it's this way. I have mixed children, and so I fight for them along with myself, obviously, because I'm also kind of in one of the minority categories. So I struggle with what I can do. I attend protests. I do everything I can within, my knowledge and limits, but also being kind, which sounds silly, but anytime I come across somebody that is, possibly somebody that would be targeted, I'm just kind to them.
Yeah. Don't be nice, be kind.
Yes. Like, I try and show them respect that they may not get every day. So
I appreciate you saying that. We got to keep fighting. And again, we all can do something. There's always something that we can do, and that's the entire point of what we're trying to get across here. So thank you for your voice, and I appreciate that. Thanks for being here. Have a good day. Be safe out there, okay? You got it. Take care. Again, I think I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know how much more we can remind people that the ruling class, if you will, in our country is fueled by white supremacy. It's just there just needs to be some acceptance, right? Because we can't fix it, right? Like, if you got a crack in the foundation, you have to find out where the crack is first. You might realize there's a crack. You wonder why you're losing heat. You wonder why your basement is flooded. Okay, then you identify the crack. So you got to identify it first and then fix it. And there's too many people, white America, who takes advantage of white supremacy in many cases without even knowing it. It's the system itself, right? It's the system itself. Now, if people are triggered by the fact that, yes, it is all men until it's no men, it's all white people until it's not, therefore it's all white men and white women, you've got to own it too. If you're triggered by that, then you're part of the problem. You have to accept it. If you're triggered by those statements, then this may not be the right environment for you, quite frankly, because we don't play nice. We play kind. We don't play nice though. Most of the people that I've come to love and respect in this app, they're going to call me out of my shit, and I want them to. I want them to. I want to learn. We should all want to learn to be better. We've all got blind spots. We've all got blind spots. And if we're doing a service to the next generation, exactly, growth. We've all got them. How then do we learn? What I want to do, how I learn is I want to go to the people who've experienced it. What do I need to know? How do I make a difference? The best advice that I got years ago was, if you want to learn about the plight of others, then go to their communities, sit there and shut the fuck up and just fucking listen. Listen to learn. Do not listen to react. Listen to learn. And we can't do that unless our eyes are wide fucking open. And I don't think enough people are willing to do it. Not enough people are willing to do the work. Pedal, how are you today? Pedals? Are you there? Pedals? Pedals going once? Pedals going twice? I think the dog was communicating with us. I speak dog. I know many people that do. Stay woke, friends. Exactly. I love this community so much. Hi, Laura. How are you? Laura? Laura? Are you there? I guess not. I think a lot of folks have just sort of, because of your awesome tapping fingers today, you might have requested by accident. I understand. No problem. Good morning. How are you, friend?
I'm okay. I was hearing you talking about the situation with the farmers, and might help our community understand the situation a little bit better. I'm going to talk about the case of India and the discussions between America and India, because I know from a first-hand perspective, having colleagues that are from India. The Trump administration is so useless that all of the negotiations are stalled because they refuse to abide by the food safety rules that India has. They're literally telling India, hey, buy our milk, but by our rules, not the food safety rules that India has. And India is like, the fuck? Like, we have these rules for our own farmers. Why we wouldn't have them for yours? And my reaction learning this is like, who the hell these negotiators are? Are they stupid? They're literally trying to impose products on other countries, but not respecting the other countries' rules. And this way they cannot sell anything. And these negotiations are stalled since last summer. Literally, the American negotiators do not give in. Do not understand that, for example, because India is mostly a vegetarian country, that the milk products that go into India, they have to be fed, the cows that produce those milk products have to be fed with vegetable products, not with things that might have come out of animal feed. But no, America is like, no, you gotta buy this product this way, and I'm like, no. And I've realized that only half the message goes to the United States, saying that India doesn't want to buy the products. It's literally America that is not making the products by Indian standards. And it's sad because there's a lot of American farmers that could be doing good business if these negotiators won't be so stupid.
I think that sums it up pretty well. I think you're right. I mean, there's so many things, and the reason I wanted to call attention to this today is just because of what the president said in front of Iowa farmers last night, basically bragging that he made people very, very rich while people are starving in our country. Thank
Absolutely.
you for being Yeah, thank you for jumping in today, friend. I appreciate you very much. Thanks for being here.
And Steve, I've started this series on explaining the histories that happened during Holocaust here in Berlin, so people hopefully will see the parallels that are happening. So
Thank you for
the
that.
first one is already on my videos, and I will keep telling the stories until all of this shit. Try to help people understand. So, for example, I started with one that shocked me, and I went back there. With a family that a 3-year-old was taken, because I literally saw the parallels between Liam and this 3-year-old.
Right.
And my will is, every time that I have a little bit of time from the PhD, to keep going to the Stapelstein. Stapelstein, for the people that don't know, are little 10 by 10 blocks of metal that are at the doors of the last place that people that were taken by the Holocaust were known to live. So you have about over 10,000 only in Berlin, and over 200,000 in Europe. It's supposed for people to stumble upon them and learn their histories. That's my goal, is to help people learn their histories.
I completely agree, because it doesn't repeat, but it certainly does rhyme. Thanks again for being here, friend. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Keep doing the good work.
I will. Thanks. See you later.
Bye.
Bye. We talk about revolution, right? We talk about it now. People look at it in different ways. I'm about the power of the peaceful protest and the nonviolent resistance. And I know some people want to lean in a little bit more. People want to talk about anarchy. Again, I think what we're seeing is people are really starting to see what we've been talking about for a very long time. The enemy is not your neighbor. The enemy is not the immigrant family down the street. The enemy is not the trans community. It's certainly not women. It's certainly not members of any marginalized group. The enemy is small. The enemy has resources, though. The enemy are the 4,000 plus billionaires that are around the globe with a combined wealth of trillions of dollars. Elon Musk is about to be the world's first trillionaire. They are the enemy. They have always been the enemy. Always. The question is, the rest of the world has seen it long before we have. The rest of the world has watched this happen. So the rest of the world has invested in their societies. That's why the democratic socialist type societies are better for humanity. It doesn't mean there can't be billionaires. It doesn't mean that there can't be people who are wealthy. It doesn't mean there can't be successful corporations. It just means that they approach the balance a lot better. And here we are. Here we have farmers continuing to vote for their white supremacy, their proximity to power. They're never going to get an invitation. They're never going to step foot inside the ballroom. They're never going to be invited to a party at Mar-a-Lago. Never. But their vote and their continued support allows those things to happen. So some reporting out of Minnesota. So Minnesota had a special election last night. The DFL, which would be the Democratic Farmer Labor Party, the DFL candidate won 95-4 in a Harris plus 70 seat, a 20-point overperformance in an already plus 70 seat. The Republicans only, again, that's 95% to 4%. The Republican only got 254 votes total. Incredible stories about people showing up. We have to get there. Nothing is impossible unless you believe it to be. That's why I am desperately asking you and people that I used to respect on this app on the left to stop spreading fucking bullshit fears about martial law and no elections. Fuck all of you. Even friends of mine on this app that are doing it. Fuck you too. That's what they want. Why make their job easy? That's been their rhetoric. And you're going to come up here and start bragging about, oh, I got some insider information there. Oh, this traffic and fuck you. Fuck you. Pay the fuck attention to what's going on. Pay attention to the power of the people. 95% in a plus 70 seat, overperformed by 20 points. Stop believing the bullshit. This administration is going to do what they're going to do. I'm not scared. Are you? Are you? Are you ready to fight? Are you ready to get your hands dirty? Bloodied, potentially? I am. I sure am. I'm angry, but I'm fueled. Hi, Sammy. How are you? Sammy, are you there? Sammy's mom? I guess not. Yep, I'm not scared. Maybe that's a shirt. I don't know. All right, let's get back to some of the topics I want to discuss today, because again, this is, we live in this environment now where it's impossible to not talk about Trump supporters because they've obviously helped put us in this position, but there's a lot of entitled leftists that have helped put us there too. In fact, I'm more angry at them, as a matter of fact, because we honestly align on most things ideologically, or in Kristi Noem's words, ideology, or whatever the fuck it was. Idiocracy, more likely. Are you saying we will be in a war? Am I saying we'll be in a war? No, Lauren, I'm not saying we'll be in a war. I'm saying, yeah, okay, yeah, let me rephrase. Yeah, we're in a war of what matters. We're in a war about fighting for the things that truly matter. I'm not talking about guns blazing. That's what they want. I'm talking about people understanding disciplined, patient, and unity. Discipline, patience, and unity. And again, if we cannot, at this point in our history, if we cannot finally start listening to voices from the queens that have joined us this week and from Black America in general, then all hope is lost. I'm serious. Every single time they tell us, you got to move differently. You've got to move differently. They're just watching like, yeah, this is nothing new for us. Every fucking day in the life of a Black American, especially Black women. You heard what our previous guest said. You heard what she said. Okay, we're told that we can't be nurses anymore because it's not going to be considered accredited. Okay, we'll be doctors. What does white America do? What do you mean we can't be nurses anymore? What? That's mean. Don't do that. That's mean. Nope. Move differently. Good luck. I'm in the fight. I can't do it by myself, though. All right, I wanted to address a couple things that I wanted to get to yesterday, but it relates now because of the money-making operation. And I have to end around 11:15 today. I got a little capitalism I have to deal with because, yeah, that still exists. So we've talked about this Board of Peace thing, and this relates to what I was just talking about. So in the charter of the Board of Peace, you've heard about this. It's basically, in my belief, it is an attempt to end NATO and end the UN. What's interesting about the charter is Donald Trump is listed as the chairman of this board, not the president of the United States, but Trump specifically. Okay, so I think this is his exit plan. Right. I think this is how he is going to capitalize on all these people giving him money, and he will just walk away gracefully. Yeah, Toodle, exactly. Chairman for life. They'll just walk away gracefully. So as it relates to everything we talk about in here every day, because it's always about follow the money, I just want you to listen to a couple of statements that have been made recently. This one in particular from the president. He's talking about, well, how he's lost it, but we'll get into that in just a moment. But this is about the Gaza project.
I said that, this is a great location. It all begins, see, I'm a real estate person at heart, and it's all about location. And I said, look at this location on the sea. Look at this beautiful piece of property, what it could be for so many people. It'll be so great. People that are living so poorly are going to be living so well. But it all began with a location. That's the vision. They look out on the waters, and very few places are like it. So we put together a team that's outstanding, a team that's done it before, a team that I think has done tougher jobs. If you want to know the truth, we've done some tough jobs. And we continue to, as far as the United States is concerned, we're behind it. And the United States has never been stronger, never been bigger, better. It's doing really well. You see that, building thousands of businesses, plants, factories all over the United States are right now under construction. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And this is just an honor to be involved with this and to be involved with the great people in this room and the great leaders that are sitting on stage. We thank you very much. And we have many others that have signed up, and they all want to be members of the Board of Peace because it really will be important. This is not going to be a waste of time. We waste so much time on things that never happen. This will happen, and it's already happening. Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor to be with you. Thank you. Thank you.
Whatever that was. And then Jared Kushner, because Jared, of course, is part of it. He is going to have a seat on the Board of Peace. Don't let anybody fool you. So he can be the one to slide into the seat when his father-in-law passes away.
Develop Gaza. Gaza, as President Trump's been saying, has amazing potential, and this is for the people of Gaza. We've developed it into zones. In the beginning, we were toying with the idea of saying, let's build a free zone, and then we have a Hamas zone. And then we said, you know what, let's just plan for catastrophic success. Hamas signed a deal to demilitarize. That is what we are going to enforce. People ask us what our plan B is. We do not have a plan B. We have a plan. We signed an agreement. We are all committed to making that agreement work. There's a master plan. We'll be doing it in phasing. In the Middle East, they build cities like this in 2-3 million people. They build this in 3 years, and so stuff like this is very doable if we make it happen. Rafah will start with. This will show a lot of workforce housing. We think this could be done in 2-3 years. We've already started removing the rubble and doing some of the demolition. And then New Gaza. It could be a hope, it could be a destination, have a lot of industry, and really be a place that the people there can thrive, have great employment. Once this starts going, we think there should be 100% full employment and opportunity for everybody there. And we have a lot of data on what can be, but we think that this really gives the Gazan people an opportunity to live their aspirations. But it all starts with security, and it all starts with governance.
So now, depending on your bias and your ability to navigate through bullshit, I've got a pretty good bullshit detector. It would sound great. But what's so wrong with wanting to develop Gaza? What's so wrong with wanting to create these zones? That's what people on the right will say. Well, we can look through it because who benefits? You think it's going to be like, just wide open doors? It will be invitation only. We know. Remember that famous AI video that was put out by Trump and Bibi when it was Trump Tower, glass, country clubs, American taxpayers paying the fucking bill. You think they're gonna develop, single family homes, affordable housing? Are you kidding me? So that's what you're going to hear from the right. They're going to chirp about this. The Board of Peace. How could you guys not support the Board of Peace? Well, who's on the Board of Peace? Multiple war criminals. Multiple war criminals sit on the Board of fucking Peace. That's who. Including our president. Yeah. But nothing to see here, right? Nothing to see here at all. And then that brings us to the person who has got his finger literally on the button. And some reporting recently that he's being interviewed. President Trump struggled to find the word for the progressive brain disease his late father had in an interview published Monday, leading to concerns about his health. He was asked a question. Ben Terrace interviewed him. I went to the Oval Office to interview Trump and his doctors about his health. My father had one problem, Trump said. He started getting, what do they call it? He pointed to his forehead and looked to his press secretary for the word that escaped him. Alzheimer's, Levitt said. Yeah, like Alzheimer's thing, Trump said. Well, I don't have it. Critics of the president said the anecdote is evidence of the president's mental acuity. Quote, nothing proves you don't have cognitive deficiencies like not remembering the name of the cognitive deficiency you don't have, tweeted journalist and liberal political commentator Molly Young Fast. Joanne Carducci, a liberal influencer who posts on social media under the name JoJo from Jers, used the eyes emoji to make her point. If you can't summon the word for Alzheimer's your dad had, Trump talking about his dad's memory issues, but being unable to come up with the word Alzheimer's is all you need to know, MAGA. Your orange lord is in failing health and is no longer interested in making you believe he cares about you. He doesn't and never did. So Trump has a genetic predisposition to Alzheimer's, and to prove that he didn't have Alzheimer's, he had to throw his 20-year-old press secretary, well, she's not 20, to remind him of what it was that he was talking about. The New York Magazine piece was published more than 3 weeks after the president told the Wall Street Journal that he's in, quote, perfect health. In the Journal's story, Trump admitted to taking more aspirin than recommended and quit using quit using compression socks for his swollen legs because he found them uncomfortable. The White House doctors have just reported that I'm in, quote, perfect health, he said, and that I aced, meaning I got 100% on the questions asked on my cognitive test for the third straight time. My cognitive examination was perfect, something which no other president or previous vice president was willing to take, Trump posted on Truth Social. P.S. I strongly believe that anyone running for president or vice president should be mandatory, forced to take a strong, meaningful, and proven cognitive examination. Our great country cannot be run by stupid or incompetent people, President DJT. Person, woman, man, camera, TV. Okay. So there's a couple of things that we need to talk about here. Let me play this first. I want to wrap up with one thing that actually, before I go into that, how do I want to do this? Well, real quick, because I got to pee. I'm gonna play the PSA. I'll be right back.
TikTok. It is our intention during these live broadcasts to only provide fact-based information to the absolute best of our ability. We strive to never spread misinformation or to platform those that do. Opinions of our guests or commenters are theirs and theirs alone and do not reflect those of the host. Hate speech is not allowed, and we are diligent about policing it. This platform is for educational purposes only. We now return you to our regularly scheduled pandemonium, already in progress.
And yes, of course, wait. Yes, of course, I did wash my hands. Don't worry. Okay. All right. Thank you. Sorry about that. So since we're talking about his mental acuity, couple of things. First, there was an interview that he did leading into this year that he did just yesterday, talking about what he talking about what his plans are for 2026. So this is now listening to what you just heard about his lack of ability to remember the word Alzheimer's. Now he's old. Okay. He's old. So this is, he's being interviewed on the Pavlich Tonight Show. Well, here you go.
And you worked with them on the big, beautiful bill. For 2026, especially in a midterm election year, what is your goal for Congress in terms of getting your agenda through? What is on the agenda? What expectations do you have for Congress?
Well, one of the things I'd like to do, we pass so many executive orders. I have great executive orders.
Okay, you don't pass executive orders, sir. You sign executive orders. You don't pass them. Okay, cool.
That are really common sense and good and have, like water coming out of a sink. The water wouldn't come out. They had all sorts of ridiculous restrictions. I took all of that off. Coming out of the shower head, you'd stand under a shower, there's no water coming out. So I passed so many things like that. Straws, they don't have to be paper anymore. They don't have to melt in your mouth. So I passed so many different things like that and much more important things, but like that. They're important, the quality of life. And I'd like to have all of that confirmed by Congress if we can. And we've done a lot of it. We've done probably 35, 40%. I'd like to get them all confirmed.
You're in the.
So just so we're clear, I don't even know. I don't even have commentary on that. Straws, faucets, shower heads. Okay. And then there's this really sort of eye-opening interview. This gentleman, let's see, his name is Ben Terrace. This is the guy that I was talking about before. Ben Terrace is the person who said, I was talking to the president, he couldn't remember the word Alzheimer's. And he's on with Dana Bash. And I think this is kind of the whole ball game right here from this interview. This is from the New York Magazine article that I think is out or is scheduled to be released within a day or so.
Any sense of why the MRI? Donald Trump said he basically got the MRI because he happened to be at Walter Reed and the machine was right there. And why not just give this machine a spin while I'm here? The doctor said it was, something they wanted to add to his annual physical. And since he was around, they might as well just give him a test or two.
The full body MRI.
Yeah, he's the president of the United States. Let's make sure he's healthy. That's what they said.
And the bruises and the falling asleep?
The bruises is kind of like a two-part thing. He takes way too much aspirin, so much aspirin that he once sat down with, top people in a pharmaceutical company and told them how much aspirin he's taking, and they said, please do not take that much aspirin. That's way too much aspirin. He said that he wants thin blood, and so taking aspirin gives him thin blood, but it also gives him bruisable skin. And so when he gets handshakes, he says it bruises his hand. Sometimes he's got bandages on the back of his hand, and that, he says, is from women's fingernails, and sometimes they're rings. One nasty slice, he said, was from a botched high five with Pam Bondi, which was an interesting little tidbit. And so, that's how he has the bruises and the bandages. Falling asleep, he says he's not asleep. He's listening, he's actively listening. He says sometimes the meetings he's in are so boring as hell, I think were his terms. And so sometimes he has to close his eyes just to give himself a little rest.
Yeah.
The alpha apparently has fallen victim to the botched high five. He's resting his eyes in a cabinet meeting. Now, I just would like to ask the smartest chat on TikTok, okay, that if Joe Biden was the one that was answering those questions or responding to those questions in an interview, what the fuck do you think would be happening right now? Seriously, what would be happening right now? There would be nothing but talk for the talk of the 25th Amendment or for impeachment. It would be overwhelming. But instead, what this echo chamber does is just, he's just joking. It's just Trump being Trump. He's just, it's the weave. It's the weave. He takes so much aspirin, even the people in the pharmaceutical industry are like, yeah, bro, stop. Because he wants thin blood? Okay. Just want to make sure I understood that. And I want to play some sound from Bernie. Because Bernie was at an event talking about AI, right? And he sat down with, this guy's referred to almost like as the godfather of AI. His name is Jeffrey Hinton. And this is a cautionary tale for all of us to listen to. Because this kind of goes, where I'm going to finish up today is I wanted to get into the fairness doctrine, and we'll talk about that a little bit more, but we had some amazing guests today, so I'll probably pick it up tomorrow. I might be able to stretch until 11:30 today. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, I digress. This is Bernie at a summit talking about the dangers of AI, something we all should pay attention to.
I was just wondering, have you seen the movie WALL-E? Because I feel like, as you've been saying with AI and all the potential benefits, why does it not make sense for us to invest all of our money, all of our time into developing really, really powerful super AIs so that they can just take care of all of our problems? And in the future, we don't have to worry about things like working and jobs.
Okay, let me answer that. If we had a political system that was run for the benefit of the people, that's exactly what we should do. We should have very powerful AI that does everything for us. We should be very careful to design it so it cares more about us than it does about itself.
Do you think that is what Mr. Musk and Mr. Bezos have in mind?
Bernie.
Do you think that's why they're spending hundreds of billions of dollars to say, hey, isn't this great? We can lower the work week. We can guarantee healthcare, high quality healthcare to everybody. We can expand life expectancy. We can solve global warming. Man, let's go do it. That's what we want to do. Do you think that's what these guys have in mind?
Probably not.
Probably not. And what Dr. Hinton was saying is exactly the issue. Are AI and robotics inherently bad? Absolutely not. But again, I get back to the point that I started. Understand, the people who are pushing this transformative revolution are the richest people in the world. They are not staying up nights worrying about working people. In my view, they want even more wealth and they want even more power. So the struggle is not whether AI is good or bad, it's who controls it and who benefits from it. That is really the fundamental issue in my view.
It goes back to this desire to acquire Greenland, because one thing Greenland does have is cold weather, and one thing these massive server farms to support AI needs is cold. So again, there's nothing inherently wrong with progress. It's just about the people behind it, because this is fucking Skynet shit. Did you pay attention? Everyone's going to need mittens if we go to Greenland. It's cold in Vermont, but it's colder in Greenland, and they don't have syrup. But that's the ball game, right? You think you want to put humanity's future in the hands of Peter Thiel, or Elon, or Bezos, or Larry Ellison, or any of them? Of course not. Of course not. So it all comes down to follow the fucking money. There's an amazing report. I've got some guests. I'll get you guys in a second. I'm sorry, Timo, not today. I'll get you guys in a second. There's a report that came out from the New York Times, and they've been doing a lot of really great journalism recently. And the title of the story is, 1 year ago, Donald Trump took an oath to serve the American people. Instead, he is focused on using the presidency to enrich himself. Now, I know what our friends are going to say. Oh, it's the New York Times. Blah, 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 blah. So how Trump has pocketed $1.4 billion. That's billion with a B. President Trump has never been a man to ask what he can do for his country. In his second term, as in his first, he is instead testing the limits of what his country can do for him. He has poured his energy and creativity into the exploitation of the presidency, into finding out just how much money people, corporations, and other nations are willing to put in his pockets in hopes of bending the power of the government to the service of their interests. A review by the editorial board relying on analysis from news organizations shows that Mr. Trump has used the office of the presidency to make at least $1.4 billion just for himself. We know this number to be an underestimate because of some of his profits remain hidden from public view and then continue to grow. The Trumps have made at least $23 million from licensing Mr. Trump's name overseas since his reelection. A hotel in Oman, for example, an office tower in Western India, a golf course on the outskirts of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. These are a few of the more than 20 overseas projects the Trump organization is pursuing, often requiring cooperation with foreign governments. These deals have made millions for the Trumps, according to Reuters, and the administration has sometimes treated those same governments favorably. One example, the administration agreed to lower its threatened tariffs on Vietnam about a month after a Trump org project broke ground. On a $1.5 billion golf complex outside of Hanoi, Vietnamese officials ignored their own laws to fast-track that project. Nothing to see here, right? The Trumps are pocketing $28 million from Amazon for a documentary about Melania. I shit you not. Amazon paid far more for the rights to Melania than the next highest bidder, and far more than the company has previously paid for a similar project, according to the Wall Street Journal. Jeff Bezos, Amazon's chairman and one of the world's richest people, has many reasons to curry favor with this administration, including antitrust regulation, Amazon's defense contracts, and his space company's federal contracts. Nothing to see here. Major tech and media companies have paid more than $90 million in settlements since his reelection. Wow. The settlements have come from X, ABC News, Meta, YouTube, and Paramount. None of them were justified on the merits. Paramount, for example, agreed to pay the president $16 million for what he claimed was the deceptive editing of a 2024 Kamala Harris interview. The editing was a normal part of journalism. 3 weeks later, the Federal Communications Commission approved an $8 billion merger with Skydance. Is that a coincidence? I say no. Qatar gave Mr. Trump a $400 million jet that he will use as Air Force One while president and plans to take with him after leaving office. It's not Air Force One. It's not going to likely even be completed until the end of his presidency. And the deal means that it just goes to his library. So it's not a gift for the American people. It's a gift for him. Yeah. Mr. Trump seemed to acknowledge that the gift would influence his treatment of Qatar. Quote, "We are going to protect this country," he said in Doha shortly after Qatar offered the plane. Mr. Trump has said he expects to transfer the plane to his presidential library after leaving office. The Trumps have made at least $867 million through various cryptocurrencies. Mr. Trump's sale of crypto has been far the biggest moneymaker, according to Reuters. People who hope to influence federal policy, including foreigners, can buy his family's coins, effectively transferring money to the Trumps, and the deals are often secret. One that has become public, a UAE-backed investment firm announced plans last year to deposit $2 billion into a Trump family firm 2 weeks before the president gave the country access to advanced chips. But again, waste, fraud, and abuse in Minneapolis daycares. Got it. All told, Mr. Trump has profited from his return to the presidency by an amount of money equal to 16,822 times that of the median U.S. household income. Mr. Trump's for wealth is brazen. His hunger for wealth is brazen. Throughout the nation's history, presidents of both parties have taken care to avoid even the appearance of profiting from public service. This president gleefully squeezes American corporations, flaunts gifts from foreign governments, and celebrates the rapid growth of his own fortune. When President Harry Truman left office in 1953, he did not even own a car. He and his wife returned to Missouri by train and lived for a time on his Army pension. He refused to take any job that he regarded as commercializing his public service, explaining, quote, "I knew that they were not interested in hiring Harry Truman, the person. What they wanted to hire was the former president of the United States." Mr. Truman has said that when he leaves office, Mr. Trump has said that when he leaves office, he plans to take with him that $400 million Boeing 747 that was a gift from Qatar and to display it at his presidential library. This tally focuses on Mr. Trump's documented gains. The $1.4 billion figure is a minimum. Hold on a second. The $1.4 billion figure is a minimum, not a full accounting. It is a probable that Mr. Trump has collected several $100 million in addition to that profits from his cryptocurrency ventures over the past year. The Trumps have acknowledged as much. When the Financial Times asked Eric Trump, one of the president's sons, about his estimated value of the family's crypto business, he said they were probably even larger than the news organizations thought. Our accounting also does not include other ways in which the president has encouraged influence seekers to make donations that benefit him politically, including his planned White House renovation. During the government shutdown, Mr. Trump even used a private gift to finance his policy priorities. Other presidents did not behave this way. Mr. Trump was already the wealthiest person to serve as president of the United States. He began his second term with a large portfolio of real estate holdings and an ownership stake in social media company. Truth Communication, whatever the fuck it is. Those businesses have benefited from his presidency. His real estate company, for example, is making millions from deals licensing Mr. Trump's name for use on new projects in foreign countries. Even more striking, however, are the enormous profits from the Trump family has reaped by creating and selling cryptocurrencies, allowing Mr. Trump to collect money from those seeking his favor. But again, waste, fraud, and abuse at a daycare facility, right? Got it. It is impossible to know how often Mr. Trump makes official decisions in part or entirely because he wants to be richer. And that is precisely the problem. A culture of corruption is pernicious, love that word, is pernicious because it is not just a deviation from government in the public interest. It is also the destruction of the state's democratic legitimacy. It undermines the necessary faith that the representatives of the people are acting in the interest of, it undermines the necessary faith that the representatives of the people are not acting in the interest of the people. Aristotle, writing more than 2,000 years ago, clearly saw and warned that a government whose leaders work to enrich themselves might still call itself a republic and might still go through the motions. But when the aim of the government shifts from public good to private gain, its constitution becomes an empty shell. The government is no longer for the people. The demands of avarice gradually corrupt the government as officials facilitate the accumulation of personal wealth. Worse, such a government corrupts the people who live under its rule. They learn by experience that they live in a society where the laws are written by the highest bidder. They become less likely to obey those laws and to participate in the work of democracy. Speaking, voting, paying taxes. The U.S. risks falling into the cynical spiral as Mr. Trump hollows out the institutions of government for personal gain. Anybody care on the right about any of that? Anybody? Is it just fake news because it's the New York Times or Reuters or the Wall Street Journal or the Washington Post or even Fox News? But yet Nick Shirley identifies fraud. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see. Obama, 90 million. Joe Biden, 10 million. Jesus Christ. You guys are so desperate. I don't even know what to say anymore, right? Like, this is why we talk about this shit, you guys. This is why, if you're not motivated to vote by this alone, I mean, this should be enough. Yeah, but Obama, exactly. But Biden. Okay, edge of chaos. You're nothing. You can just leave. You're just here to troll. You and your 2 followers. If you want to have a conversation about fraud, then let's have it. Let's have that conversation. Let's identify anybody who's committing fraud. And listen, this tracks though, right? If you were not in the Epstein files and you did nothing wrong, then it wouldn't be day 40 of those files not being released. If you were honest about your wealth in advance of the presidency, then you would have released your tax returns. If you were honest and transparent, like you claim to be, then we would know exactly the name of every person donating the $400 million to build your ballroom, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You'd have an independent doctor audit your health, not the candy man, Ronnie Jackson, whatever the fuck his name is. But nope, can't do that. Can't do that. Nothing to see here. It is so sad. It's, sure, anger, disgust, whatever. But to so many people in this country, because of this, just bought into it. Like, this guy's a man of the people. He sold himself as such. And again, the objective observer in me will have to give him credit for that, because it's a marketing tactic and it worked. He conned tens of millions of Americans into voting for him. He conned them all. He conned farmers. He conned farmers multiple times. He conned Black America, those that vote for him. He conned Hispanic America, who voted for him. He conned women who voted for him. It's easy to con white men because we're inherently stupid. This guy who's enriched himself to the tune of $1.4 billion, and that is a gross underestimate since he took office. Well, he's a businessman before, he can be a businessman after. What about Biden? What about Biden? $10 million. Joe Biden wrote some books, got a contract, wrote some books, served in government for 50 years, and his net worth is now like $15 million. I mean, come on. $1.4 billion. He's enriched himself. They will try to find a way to spin it. They'll say, well, it's not against the law. Well, yeah, it is. It's the Emoluments Clause. I want to remind folks of a couple things real quick before we wrap today. I just saw your note, Sam. Thank you for that reminder. We have in an effort to try to support the community in Minneapolis, we've created a series of items that exist in our merch store. You can go there through Facts HQ, which is a link in the link tree that's in my bio, or directly by going to factsstillmatter.site. It's called Shop for Minnesota. 2 shirts. You may not like my voice. I don't like your silence. Are you okay? Which are the last words apparently uttered by Alex Preddy. He was helping to save a woman who was violently assaulted by ICE officers. I'm not mad at you, which we know Renee Good said, and then I can't breathe. Right. So those shirts are available. And any and all proceeds from the sales of those shirts in particular will go to support this particular organization in Minnesota. It's called Community Aid Network MN, or canmn.org. So canmn.org. So far, I think it's like roughly $88 through your kindness and generosity that we've raised for this organization. We'll just keep this rolling. We also, thank you, Sam. We also have buttons as well. We also have buttons too. It's an entire series of items that we have there. So there's that. So please, if you're looking for something to do and you've got some money that you can spend, that'd be great to go to that cause. Any and all items from that particular series. Be Pretty Good is a new button we have. We've got a bird image of Minnesota. This is a new trend that's going around. We've got our button. We've also got the Somali flag. So there's all kinds of things that you can do if you want to help and you want to support that community. Let me just bring up Panda and then we'll wrap. Good morning, Panda.
Hi, how are you?
Fine. How are you?
I'm good. I just have a question. If you could help me understand something.
I'll try.
So I'm a friendly. I'm definitely left leaning. Anytime I go into a black or brown person's live, all they do is slander and talk shit about white people. And I'm white.
I'm not interested. Do better. Don't come up here and cry your white woman tears. Sorry, not going to happen today. Good luck with that. I wanted to read one more thing, if I could. This is from Occupy Democrats, and thank you, Jess, for posting this in the chat. I mentioned this earlier, that Rep. Omar was attacked at a town hall meeting where someone sprayed something on her. We don't know what it was. We don't know who it was, but there was something that was posted by Occupy Democrats, and I'm going to read it to you. Breaking. Of course, Ilhan Omar's attacker just got exposed as a deranged Trump fan after Trump accused her of staging the attack. In an entirely predictable development, the man who squirted Omar with a foul-smelling liquid has been identified as Anthony Kazmierczak, or Kazmierczak, Kazmierczak. Those social media posts are covered in pro-Trump and MAGA imagery. His past 2 Facebook profile pictures have been photos of Trump at Turning Point, USA, one with Erica Kirk. The New York Post spoke to his neighbor, who told the outlet that Kazmierczak was a, quote, pretty conservative guy who, quote, doesn't like Omar. His neighbor told the Post that Kazmierczak had asked Kelly to mind his dog and suggested he might get in trouble. He said, I'm going to this Omar thing. I'm like, Omar, what? He said, this town hall thing. And he said, I might get arrested. I figured it was nonsense. He wasn't going to do anything stupid. I said, sure, I'll walk in. But then the next day he said, don't worry about it. I've got it covered. I figured he blew that off, said Brian Kelly, his neighbor. Kelly also said the Post that Kazmierczak was heavily medicated from a car crash and diagnosed with Parkinson's. Everyone under the sun has been warning that Trump and the entire Republican Party's hysterical and disgustingly racist rhetoric against Omar will lead to violence. And now it has. Trump's attempt to blame her for his actions is even more despicable. After the attack, Trump was asked about the obvious consequences of his incessant and repulsive attacks on Omar, and all he had to say was, no, I don't think about her. I think she's a fraud. I really don't think about that. She probably had herself sprayed, knowing her, which makes as little sense as it has empathy for someone who was just attacked on his incitement. We're so lucky this man did not have any real weapons, or Trump might have yet another person's blood on his tiny little hands. Yep, that's that. So, yeah. We are not nice here. Thank you, Sam, for teaching me this last night. We are not nice here. We are kind. We will help whoever we can. But if it's not a safe space if you're going to do your bullshit, quite frankly. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. I appreciate that. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time, every day, 8 to 12. And then again on, can't do, no FAD this week, but is today Wednesday? What is it? What is today? Today's Wednesday. Yes. Yes. What do I mean by nice and kind? Okay. Well, hang on a second. I can pause real quick for this, because I think this is great. I love it. Where is it? The difference between, I can read it to you real quick. Hold on a second. Being nice is often about pleasing others and is often superficial. It can be motivated by social expectation or the desire to avoid negative consequences. Being kind, on the other hand, involves genuinely caring about others and acting in their best interest, even if it upsets them. Kindness is often selfless and rooted in empathy and compassion. While both can lead to positive interactions, kindness is more about the intention behind the actions, whereas being nice can be about maintaining social graces. Understanding these differences can help in fostering more meaningful and authentic relationships. There you go. I love you all. See you tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Please, friends, we are in this fight. Yes, you can certainly do that. Yes, you certainly can. No doubt about it. We are in this fight together. I can't do it myself. I need all of you. I need all white men calling out other white men. I need white women calling out white women. We gotta do this shit, friends. We gotta fucking lean in hard. There are more of us than them. Every single day, you need to be thinking in the do something spirit. We all can make a difference in the world, even as a tiny little pebble in the pond, right? It could be a tiny little mud puddle. And it doesn't matter what it is. Please just do something. I don't know who's live right now. Let me just check with my mod team. Is there anybody out there? RTP's probably live. Go raid Jay. Tell him we said hello. I love you all, friends. We'll see you. Actually, go raid Ash. Everybody go raid Ash, please. Everybody go raid Ash. Ash, collecting men's tears. You guys know Ash. Please go rate her. Tell her, because she's doing the work as well, calling out white men every single day, and white women too. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time.
Cuéntame, mi princesa hermosa, mi vale.